Gosh, I don't know how fast a turnaround that is. Hopefully quick. Alright. You guys are gonna have to let me know when it starts because I'm not watching that. Hello. It works. Awesome. Alright. Well, I got a nice ginormous growler here of cider, so I'm gonna start with that. Jesus Christ, I only like filled half the can. Yeah, I'm alive. That's good. Yes, dolphin. Well, hello. Yes, there's somebody's birthday here, so happy birthday. I kind of missed who that was, but happy birthday. Thank you. So, so yeah, I mean, this is the first I've been streaming on YouTube for like God forever, but I've been streaming on Twitch now for 4 years, like 6 to 7 hours a week. So once a year, I just do something bigger where it's just kind of like, hey, so thanks, Zachary. There will be no spoilers, so don't worry about like if you don't want to see stuff that I'm working on. After 7 o'clock, maybe. But for now, we're just gonna putz. So I do want to open it up. So if anybody has any questions, and that does include that if you want to see something I've done before and you want to see behind the scenes and let me explain it, like the inner workings of stuff, that's no problem. Otherwise, if you have any of those questions, just ask. That's kind of the point of it, to be able to interact with people. So but do know there's like a 10 to 15 second delay. So, and I might miss questions because the chat's moving fast. So 7 o'clock. Okay, so I'm 4 o'clock here. So whatever time you're, it's 3 hours from now. I can't really play any music in the background because YouTube is stupid. So, otherwise, in the meantime, I was just gonna putz. That's the main thing. I didn't want to like create something beforehand. I wanted to make it kind of interactive. So, yeah, Twitch. I like Twitch for the streaming stuff, but the reason I'm doing it on YouTube here is it kind of opens up the audience a bit more, and without having, I never wanted to stream on YouTube before because I didn't want to like show the videos I'm working on for months beforehand on the same platform they're going to be posted. So that's kind of why I'm doing it here. So, so in the meantime, yeah, I'm just going to mess around here. So, when I made Remembrance, how many times did I tear up? Not many. It's like if you find the saddest movie you've ever seen and then watch it on repeat for like 4 months, if you're still crying by the end of that, then I have something wrong with me. But you're just burnt out emotionally. Well, thanks, Zach. That's fine. So, I thought I had a separate chat for that. Yeah, I do. So cool. Okay. If I miss your question, sorry, because I've already seen a couple here. See more anime intros. Anime intros take forever. Here, actually, I can open one just to show you why. They are a lot of small scenes that still require big scene builds. And so I'm not planning on doing too many of those. Let's just open this one. In the meantime here, how do you prevent crashing from spawning more models in SFM? You can't. A lot of that comes down to memory usage. If you go above 3326 or something, you'll crash it. If you have a lot of ponies, the best way to do that is to just recolor them, because the same model used multiple times doesn't take up any more memory. How many hours on average do you spend making videos? A lot. I really only work about 7 to 8 hours a week on stuff, like stream times, but they can take hours to months. It's really hard to do a comparison. Who's favorite pony? Easy. Dashy's best. Have you ever thought of doing commissions? No. That's kind of a difficult area to get into, and I don't want to. I'd rather just work on the stuff that I want to work on. How do I make good posters on Source FilmMaker? Best thing to do is you go into this like Google thing and you type in like My Little Pony, and let's just do an image search. There we go. Just find something on here and just replicate it. You can, it'll teach you how to use the models in more detailed ways, and that will really help solidify how you position, how you move, how you do everything. Replication is a great teacher. So just do that. Find some position that something's in and just try to make it yourself. Thank you for the compliments. Who's favorite pony? Princess Celestia. There's a depth about her, and I'm not just talking about thick thighs. But anyway, so do you make more follow-up question videos? Yes, I'm actually in the middle of one right now. I might show a little bit of it later, but as of right now, I'm not going to show any spoilers. But yeah, I am working on it right now, and it's focused on the Ministry Mares. It's not focused on Pip. Hello. You only have the Rainbow Dash model. How do we animate with it? That's a difficult question. But anyways, so I wanted to show this. So like this scene build alone, and this was from the one shot here. It's kind of really eats up processing here. To show how massive this is, all these were placed manually. So, I mean, there's a lot of copy paste involved, but this scene build took me like a week or probably multiple weeks to get done. And you look at it, and this is only, well, for a total, I used it for 11.5 seconds. But that one shot was only for 2.5 seconds. Hi. Yelling at me. But so animators are difficult because I'm putting an immense amount of effort into like this shot right here is 1 second. And the amount of time it took to build this whole thing out of models, because these are all literally models. These aren't like some pre-made map. So that took like probably another week or two just to make this one scene for 1 second. Animators are tough. Here, let me catch up on chat here. Who's out of all the SM videos you've made, do you have a favorite or no? Actually, right now this is probably my favorite, just because it had the most technologically difficult segments to work with, and it taught me a lot, and so I kind of got an attachment to it, because to me learning something new is just super exciting. So probably this one for right now. The custom made maps or models? No, this is a custom made scene build. So this is all loaded models. I prefer to do that. Almost everything I have here is made within one map. That's just this big empty room, and then I just load all the models and build all the lighting. It gives me a lot more flexibility and control. It just takes more time. If you're a fan of Remembrance, it's awesome. If you haven't heard about Ashley H's drama, that radio drama she made from that, check that out. It's freaking awesome. What do you think about the movie? Awesome. I mean, really, there's not much more to say to that. I thought the movie was great. Where do you get your models? The workshop or some internet site? There's a couple places. One of the best places to get it, and I'm just going to take my shortcut route, is which one of these? This one is the SFM Ponies group on DA. There is a segment on here for animation resources and SFM resources. That's a great place. Otherwise, there's also ponysfm.com, which is about the same, just a different method of putting it together. Otherwise, the workshop, and then there's also SFM Lab, which has some other content too. So those are the absolute best places to go for models for sure. Just depends on what you're looking for. What do you do? Oh, if you do hashtag Argodavid, it actually like pops it up for me. Awesome. If you could do that, like here, right there, like Francis did. That's great, because then I can actually see everything. What do you do in your free time if it isn't producing? I've been playing like currently The Division and Civilization 6. Otherwise, my current job is I work in the quality department of a medical device company. So I've been trying. I'm newer to that department, so I'm learning a lot in the meantime. The map that I'm using in the background here is just called. I have to unload it. I think it'll pop it up here. It should be Scene Build Huge Void. Yeah, Scene Build Huge Void. It's on the workshop. Just search Scene Build, one word. You should be able to find it. Oh, awesome to get it. Thanks, Warhorse. Are you going to BronyCon this July? Yes, I am. I will be going to BronyCon. I applied for panels. I just haven't heard back on it. I'm also going to BabsCon, Winnie City, and Ciderfest. I was going to go to more, but then my job kind of restricted a little bit. Who are your favorite YouTubers in the SFM Pony? Well, Red Ace of Spades is pretty nice. Actually, he do pretty awesome stuff. Otherwise, I really don't pay too much attention to it. Ninten Catherine is pretty good, or really good. I don't want to start giving a whole bunch of names and then like leave people out. So there is a lot of people out there. Yeah, well, I've never done Division before, so this is new. Where's the project on Ember you were working on a while back? I kind of canceled that. That project was going to take forever, and I decided to kind of throw it to the side. I gave the files to Surya Dragon, and he's kind of playing with it. So, who's your favorite background character? I don't know. That's a tough question. There's too many. I like Derpy because he's always nice to see, but other than that, I don't know. As long as there's ponies in it, I'm fine. Where did you took the scene build models? A lot of these are just like random retextures. So like this is a grass model, a texture I grabbed off of Workshop, and it has bones. So you can actually rearrange the positioning. You can actually see grass. No, it's not grass. It's ground. So you can see that I can actually like grab bits of the ground here, that's the root, and mold it. And so that's how I made it look like that. And then I just jammed trees everywhere. The better shot for that is this one, where this one took me forever. And so I just had to throw trees everywhere. It's all particles, so there is actually a lot of floating trees out here. I just didn't care. But it allowed me to make it a custom-made structure, which is awesome. Do you have a college degree in animation? No, I have a college degree in web development. I've never done animation for professional stuff. It's just kind of something I tried on here. So, what's the most brony thing you've ever done in public? I go to a meetup group, the Minnesota Bronies group, once a month. But we don't really do anything like over the top. I really don't. I'm not like an overly extroverted brony when it comes to normal stuff. I'm just a normal person. So not too much. How long does it take to make 3 seconds animation? That is a difficult question. If you were to say, if you're talking just animation and nothing else, and you're talking, I would say mid-level, so like basic body movement, but no heavy interactions and just facial stuff. For 3 seconds, I could probably do that in like 2 hours or something like that. But it just depends on what's going on. If they're jumping, that's completely different compared to like just like nodding in a conversation. So, but it can take hours or it can take minutes. What part of making animation is your favorite? To me, it's a lot of the basic planning and the lighting. Actually, it's like when you're building a scene and you're seeing it come together into one thing. It's like, so when you're finishing up, it's great, but then it's more of like a relief feeling. But like just seeing it come together and seeing the structure be built up where things are constantly changing, that's exciting to me. That's like super awesome. I love that part of it. What was your smallest SFM project? I've had a lot of little ones. It's like just small. Go to my DeviantArt. Just search my GIFs. That's the smallest stuff I've ever done. Are you caught up with watching MLP? Yes, I actually caught up not long ago. So I am fully caught up with season 7. I was really far behind for a while. Your quality videos are amazing in all the natural talent, all hard work, or both. I would say patience and determination, and the being okay with failure, because there's plenty of things I've done and just tossed out and just throwing myself in. I don't know. I mean, I just started it and it worked out. And actually, I got lucky because there are a lot of people out there that are much better than I am in the fandom, and I just have noticed more because I started earlier. So, but there are plenty of people out there that are way better. So, but I'm not planning to do it for a career or anything. Just fun. Let's see here. Wow, you guys have a lot of questions. Who's your favorite character in the MLP movie? Tempest? Come on. That's not even a question. It's easy. What was the smallest... Oh, yeah, I already answered that one. How old are you? I'm 32. I'm old for the fandom, I guess. But yeah, I'm 32. I started in the fandom when I was like mid-20s, so... I like it because I can drink and rent cars. How do you import or take particle from Dota and SFM or from any other game? Really, a lot of it is you can just bring the model or the stuff in. So like, I have a separate game on here called Dota, and so all my stuff for Dota is there. Dota has all their stuff locked behind kind of like a compression wall now, but you can go and use. Where do I have it? I think it's in here. GCFscape. You can load in like the Dota files into here. There's one that's in their compression files that's like _dir. You drop it in here and you get access to everything. You just export it and you're good. So I have to go do that again because there's been updates. Doing amazing videos. Thank you, Thomas. And Anna. Oh wow, there's so many compliments here. You guys are awesome. And do know that actually means a lot because it's knowing that people watch and really love the stuff is what gets me excited when I get close to getting something done. Is I really want to get it out there for people to watch. Do you like the Pinkie Pie model or the Pink Amina model? I've never used the Pink Amina model. Pinkie's hard though because animating Pinkie is so bubbly that I really don't want to touch her because the only way to portray her correctly is a lot of work. I miss stream every time. Happy you'll make it. That's why I did it on Saturday because I wanted more people to be able to see it. What computer do you use for SFM? I have my processor's a Intel i7 4770K, which I need to upgrade. My graphics card, which SFM uses primarily, is a 1080 Ti. I think Gigabyte. No, I can't remember who it's from. I got it before the Bitcoin craze, and then everything after that doesn't really matter. But the SFM does not utilize multiple graphics cards, so having a single powerful one works, and I got that one. I'm just chatting because you guys have so many damn questions. It's awesome though. What state do you live in? I live in Minnesota. If you actually want, here, I can show you why I love Minnesota here. So if we look out the window, oh look at that! It's probably for the screen not that visible, but it's very snowy. We're under a winter advisory, so this is wonderful. Oh, I've got. All right. What made you start animating 3D rather than 2D? I never did 2D, so I did. 2D involves needing to draw, at least, or having a proficiency in it, at least to some degree. But I have difficulty with circles, so I'm not gonna. I didn't touch that. What's your favorite villain? Probably Chrysalis. There's just something about the character that's awesome, especially when you put in what some of the fanfics do. Oh god, I just jumped forward. I might have to skip some of these questions and jump to the current ones because you guys have way too many. What's the biggest problem in SFM? Crashing. Like, for instance, like this video, the actual final video is like 1:09, but this, I had to split this video into 4 pieces because SFM couldn't handle all the crap I was giving it with that much time. So, because a lot of these scenes have so much stuff loaded, I have all these broken into groups because if you actually, like, let's go to this one. If I go and turn off the hierarchy here, And you can just see that these are all models and stuff that was loaded in. And that is a lot of stuff for it to process. And my RAM's already hitting red. I can guarantee you by the end of the stream, this is going to crash because it's a 32-bit program. So it's not going to be able to handle everything. But it was so big that I had to start splitting it. And then it's really hard to plan a video when you can't actually see the thing as one go. So, I mean, I had the audio broken up and just the part that I need. It made it difficult. And that's the one thing I think is a downside to SFM is its memory usage is very poor, but it's old, or it's using an old engine. So, are you going to show all the wasted time and thrown away project at any time? Oh, yeah, you know what? Sure, let's show some stuff. Let's see here. It's canceled. I never actually started LHI 3. The file's just there. Ember, somebody else working on that now. Fight. Oh, I think that's where I kicked Trixie in the face. That's opening up. I'll jump. Keep going. What's your favorite character? It's Rainbow. I should probably put her in. You know what? Hold on. We'll do. Oh, no, that was something else. This never got turned into anything. Actually, I think this was a model preview I was trying to play around with. All these were made by Longsword, and I was putzing with them. So yeah, I guess that isn't anything. So oh well. Foliage demo. That's just a scene build. Good Girl. That was never got anywhere. Luna Magic. I think it's just like a super simple thing. Why have you never shifted to Blender? The reason is because SFM has an immense amount of models available to you. I know how to use it. I'm comfortable in it, and it specializes in cartoony. Blender can make more realistic things for sure, but I feel like you don't need realism. You need cartoony, and I want to maintain that. And there's so many resources available. You have 2 models and Dota that have a cartoony element. They all kind of blend right in together. I don't feel the need to change mediums when I'm able to utilize this one for what I need for the most part. Most of the stuff in Blender would take a lot longer to do. And rendering in here is super quick. I can render, the longest render time I've ever had is like between 30 and 40 seconds a frame. Blender, you can look at hours a frame. So, especially if I wanted to try to utilize it the way I'd want to use it, I'm happy with where I am, really. I'd rather get more content out than better content. Or, I don't need that level of content. You look Stranger Things. I've watched the first season. I haven't watched the second yet. Where do you get so many of your props for scene building? I kind of showed there earlier, but DeviantArt, the workshop stuff. Just anytime I see something useful, I just click subscribe or I download it and I just build that up. Yeah. So this is just like, I think I just like done some super simple stuff. I just wanted to like putz with the sword and the lighting, but it never turned into anything. So that's like a super simple thing. Bluebird never got anywhere. Awakening. That never got anywhere. Falling Silhouette. That one, it used to be bigger, but somehow it corrupted it. It doesn't work anymore. Psychic Horse, there's one. Do you play Grand Theft Auto 5 or 5M? No. I do not play any of them. Have you tried other animation softwares? No. Your lip sync tutorial was helpful. First animation was terrible. Trust me, everybody's is. But the actual lip syncing the animation was pretty good. Good. I'm glad that one helped because that was like the most awkward tutorial to make. It's hard to do lip syncing tutorials because a lot of the stuff is just examples and trying it. You're on Windows 7. It's more of I got Windows 7 a while ago. I didn't want to do Windows 8. And Windows 10 originally had problems with SFM, which then kind of made me scared to use it. Windows 10 now is a lot better, and actually I am liking a lot of the stuff it has, so I've considered upgrading to it. Especially since I right now have booting issues with my computer where it has a boot from the CD. But I'll upgrade someday. You said that there are better creators than you. Can you give examples? I believe that Nutrifin is superior by far. Phyrexis and me, I would say that we're on a fairly even level. He just has a very different style, kind of a more jerky style. I'm trying to think of... Again, I don't want to give names because I don't want to, like, put people up or take people down that weren't mentioned. But there, I do want to try to put out something later that try to highlight some people, but it keeps, that's way down the road. Keeps jumping here. Let's just see, building mini pack. Can you make one? How you build some scenes such floors and grasses. The way I do it, if the best way to learn that is like watch a stream when I'm doing it. If you actually go back on my second YouTube, which is Argo Demon live streams, I have it. You can find the ones in there where it shows me doing all my scene builds, and a lot of those models aren't detailed. They're not specific. They're pretty general things, just like flat models that are retextured. Since I got this open, so this is a video that I was going to make a while ago. Then an error in SFM, like they did an update and it broke my scaling because of the way I did it completely. So the whole scene build got like messed up. They fixed it since then, but it kind of demotivated me from doing this. But it was a bit where somebody had taken the audio from, was it Bravest Warriors, and then put in the Super Saiyan mix to it. And so this is super early. There's really not much more after that, but it was just a stupid thing and super early, so everything looked shitty. I was just planning to plan it out, but it never panned out. So yeah, there's that, I guess. So do you have the doll for Wattful? I still have that somewhere in the picture for sure. I remember that. Scene 2, how many TF2 SFM videos of ponies have you done? None. A lot other than potentially this, but I never really, I'm not one for crossovers normally. The only crossovers I'm really okay with are like Fallout, because it was done to where it merged the two instead of just like stacking them on top of each other. Otherwise, I try to stay away from crossovers because I think that the base stories are enough. Pixel Gun 3D animation? I have never seen Pixel 3D Gun. Yeah, Free Animation is the one that got me into the fandom, and I'll be doing more. So, and I've actually heard that a lot. It's kind of surprising. Like any shows besides NLP, I don't really watch too much else. I just Full Metal Alchemist is a big fan, because we just ended up watching that again. I don't really watch much other television. Not really. I've been meaning to, but that takes time. It keeps jumping. Stop jumping. Is it possible to... No, you're that one. Yeah, SFM... Yeah, I guess. Yeah, SFM only utilizes 32 bits of RAM, or 32... it's a 32-bit system, so it only can use up to 4 megabytes. Well, 3.5. So once this number down here gets to about 3,300, it's going to crash pretty soon here. Oh, hi. Thanks, buddy. Remember, this was amazing. And more Fallout Equestria stuff, please. Do you do commission on videos? I do not do commission on videos. I was planning on potentially doing, not a commission thing, kind of, but like a in-between system. The main issue I have with commissions is that if I were to get commissioned for an animation, I'm utilizing models that other people had made and put out for free. So how do you reimburse those people? That's the difficulty that I have, is it doesn't feel right for me to take money for making something that that somebody else has technically given me the resources to be able to do. So I had kind of a potential idea for something to work in the middle ground for that. I just never got around to it, because it's, again, I don't know if I want to play with that gray area. As well as some, again, I don't know what the Pixel 3D thing is. If somebody new started animating an SFM, what advice would you give them? Make pictures and have a lot of patience. Don't expect to learn a lot. It took me 2 years, or well over a year, but almost 2 years before I actually felt comfortable to make the stuff I wanted to make. And here, you can have tricks of getting punched in the face. I never got turned into anything. I actually, even though I have these projects that were like I threw out, I usually use the animations for a lot of this stuff in other things. One of them being, and I'm getting to it, I'll show you, I actually reused one of the like backflip animations for it. What is a name? That was like the second video I ever made. No, that was this one. I think it was this one. This is like the second thing I ever made in SFM, but it never turned out to anything. Other than clip in testing 1, 2, 3. So that you made. Are you planning to make any more of these small clips? I kind of want to do remakes. Remakes are fun because they're super simple. I can do them quick, and I actually learn a lot from doing it because again, you're copying something. But I only been picking like the scenes that I think would be really interesting. Can you please show some console commands which come in handy to the most? The only console commands I really ever use, if you're talking about in here, is mat reload all materials. But I have a mod that allows me to do it through a button. You can also do reload material, which is to reload a single. Other than that, there is one for like if you have certain types of errors, how to get rid of them. But otherwise, I really don't use the console command as much. There's change level, but that one would allow you to change a map without going through the unload reload. But that's only useful if you're using multiple maps. But I covered that in the tutorial that I have on my channel. Scene build pack should have lots of models. Yeah, it would be nice having a scene build pack, but then it's also somebody has to maintain it, and I don't want to download a pack that's like 4 gigs, and then every time there's an update, download another 4 gigs. It's a great for a starting off thing, but how you found a good Octocam for a pip-look effect in FOE? Any of the cameras that are on there are just a texture that's over it, and I just replaced the texture. So I've never done any kind of cameraing or whatever. If you're talking about, and I think in the follow-up video, where are you? I just call leaving the stable. Okay, yeah. So in here, come over here. If you're talking about, where'd you go? Oh, I hit the wrong button. I have 2 screens though. That's weird. Hold on. Feeks. Okay, that worked. Is it right here? Nope, a little bit too far forward. Yeah, actually right here. So if you're talking about like how this screen was animated. That's not actually animated in SFM. I did the painstaking method where I took 9 different textures of different leveling of that meter, and then rendered 9 different versions of it, and then After Effects clipped between the different ones based on the level that the waveform was for the audio of the talking. So I followed that. So if it was like halfway up, I picked the halfway frame. And so I actually did it frame by frame to make that work because there was no other method that I felt would worked perfectly. And it actually turned out really good. So I'm okay with it. But that was actually very difficult to do, and there's no other method I know how to do that. Can you play Minecraft Geometry Dash? I used to play Minecraft, haven't for a long time, and Geometry Dash, no. Let me just play this. So this was a video that I started. It was supposed to be like a capture the flag thing. This is the second thing I've ever done, so it's super simple. It was gonna have Dash run around the corner and do some like fancy moves, but when I went to start this, I realized that my skill level at the time was not up to par, and that's all I had, with what I needed to do. I did not know enough, and so I had to put a lot of stuff on hold to try to focus on the things that I needed to learn before I started going into things that I was just going to get frustrated about. That one's kind of stupid. No. That's a failed picture. Sunny Smiles is a failed thing. Tron's not much. Unbroken. I think this just has some Luna singing. You can do a tutorial on mini animation techniques such as walking. Animation tutorials are really difficult because it's always very situational on what you need. If you're needing somebody to like walk and stop, it depends on the model. It depends on the situation. And so it's really hard to cover that. I try to cover the things that I can, in the one video, cover the entire topic from beginning to end without having any gray area. So I'll think about it, but it's really hard to do something like that. How do you do more broad lights like they come out of a project? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, with broad lights. You may need to elaborate a little more. Have a pony blended in the background? I'm not sure on that either. If you're talking like fade away, I don't know. I don't know why Dash. That Dash video is like 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, where is that file? Let's look at the date on that and just 2013. So yeah, that was 5 years ago. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing then. I was learning. Have you? I'm not going to do any Five Nights at Freddy's videos. That's not my thing. Lights that look like they are coming out of the object. You can do like a self-illumination, but that's not really light coming out of the object. You'd have to use a light and self-illumination to do it. So yeah, this one was, I was originally going to do a Luna video using Unbroken by Arely Brighton. But again, this one, one of the many ideas I have that never panned out. All I have is just some lip syncing. There's not much to it right now.
Remember when you said together till the end, we would stay together, chasing.
I was really proud of the lip syncing for that. That's all I had for it. I like to start things and then never get anywhere with it. In terms of like big projects that got canceled, this one actually I had quite a bit done for. Yeah, ask as many questions as you want. This is the point. So I've actually caught up now, which is nice. Just speaking of, who is the best to watch SFM tutorials? There's the 3 people. The main ones to go to are, if you just search Source FilmMaker, the first thing that's going to come up is this one. Definitely one of the best to go to because it's going to be covering a lot of the basics. It's also going to be covering a lot of aspects that ponies aren't going to be able to work with, like the recording feature within it, like for recording TF2 movements. But it is still a really useful tool for learning how to pose and stuff. The other one is going to be Jimmer Lynn's. He does the tutorial tips of the day, or the SFM tips of the day, and they are super useful. Because they cover some more complex aspects, but in small, well, I wouldn't say small little segments when you got 12 and 14 minutes, but it covers very individual things, and they are a good reference tool. So they're good to, good to go to. But then we also have, what's the name? Zachariah Scott. He's got a bunch of tutorials on his channel too, and he's drunk during a lot of them, which makes them entertaining. But I mean, he's even got like 3 playlists for them because I guess he just. Oh, did he move them all into one? Oh yeah, SM tutorials, the guys that Source FilmMaker tutorials. But he's also got a lot of good stuff, and this is who I learned particles from. He's got a lot of really good particle tutorials, and if you want to learn some of the basics of it, so he's a good one to go to. So yeah, those are the 3 I'd really go to. Hello, how you doing? So this one was, I was doing a, I can't remember if this is stage. No, this is stage. This is build. I was doing a follow-up video and it didn't pan out because it was kind of a trailer type video, but it was going to be like 3 times longer than a normal video. And when I actually started thinking about the scope of it, it was way too big. And so I needed to either scale it back, and I decided to just drop it. But I have used some of the animation from it. That's what I'm kind of going over Yoshimitsu, kind of covering some of the other stuff. So like this one I have to be careful on because YouTube is picky with streaming and audio, so I don't want to play too much of the same song. Animation's not near done.
Where are we going from here? Where do we go?
I think that kind of cuts out there.
Where are we going from here? How do we know? Where do we go?
And then from there, I need to load up a different map for this. Ugh, guess black. What's the best way to start animating with SFM? Plus, every time I try to start, the models don't show up. Best way to learn is make pictures. All animation is a series of pictures. So if you can make pictures, you can make animations. It's just a lot of those pictures. So learn how to pose. That is the most important thing to do, is learn how to pose. And I mentioned earlier, take a like a picture that you've seen out there somewhere and just replicate it. Try to copy it, especially like a complex pose. Figure out what you need to do to the model. It's not about just bending bones. Sometimes you have to like physically move them from their normal positions, which seems like dangerous and counterintuitive to a bone. But this isn't real life. This is animation. So learning when to be able to do that and when not is super useful. So make pictures and have patience. Start small. Don't make it big. Make stuff that you can actually finish, so that you can feel a sense of accomplishment when moving from project to project. Have you ever felt the amount of pony mouth flexes are limiting your limb syncing? Originally, yes, but the current models that are out there, like if we were to just load up like Twilight, Sparkle, and I grab the enhanced one, if you look at the differences in the bones, so Velvet originally here, where is your mouth? Oh, this is organized my old method. This is how many mouth flexes were on the original models that came out for Nahkas. These still were very useful when mixed in groups, but they were limited. Now, this is your list. And this includes also bones that you can manipulate physically, and they're also split where you can do left, right side. So that's just that. And then we have lower, mid, doing cheek control, way more control. So I think actually the current models for at least the main group work really good right now. Oh, hi, Zachariah. Hello. How are you? So thank you for your tutorials. I learned a lot from them. God, you guys have so much to say. How do you get your flexes? It's who is that I forgot his name that did that. Justine. He's the one that made all the models. I don't touch the flexes. I let other people handle that. Anyways, so this is again just cancel stuff. I never got around to finishing. Oh, I forgot about that face. Oh, well, thank you. Well, trust me, I love your drunk tutorials are always amazing. So I've watched them multiple times. So I do appreciate all the information you've provided people. So thank you very much. Oh, this one is super laggy. I had way too go. Yeah, I get it. This one actually I ended up reusing the animation for. I never finished. But I did reuse her little backflip there. This run's just way too slow to be able to make anything from it. Oh, here. Start singing again. So I had that, and I think there's a bit at the end too. Never animated that part. What do you plan to do with unwanted projects? They just kind of sit in the background. I never touch them. My thought is just because I started something, it's not wasted time if you delete it, or not delete it, but like if I never touch it. Like I've went back here and I've reused animations all the time for stuff. So it's not like I'm trying to remember the one is. I thought it was Fight Fight Fight. Kind of bugs me. Maybe it's in another folder here. I have other folders even bigger. I don't think this mech suit works. But I was gonna remake the Final Fantasy VI intro. I don't know why. I just like work with what motivates. Yeah, the armor's not loaded anymore. So this is probably gonna look really weird. Yes. Exciting. Okay, I guess I don't have the mech anymore. It was the Mass Effect mech. Randall landing. I think this might be it that I'm looking for. You guys are very, very chatty, but that is awesome. I love being able to answer questions for people. I don't want to do any more shipping stuff. Yeah, the Atlas mech. That's what we're talking about. But I think somebody pulled it. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So, like, I reused this one because it's just a Rainbow Dash Land. But then I ended up using that in... Here. Supposed to send an unwanted project to see if people... I've only done it once, and I prefer not to do that because sometimes it's still a baby to me, and handing it to other people makes me kind of like nervous. So I don't like sending project files to people. Who's my favorite character from FOE? If we're talking the entire universe of all fanfics, probably Rampage. If we're just talking normal Fallout Equestria, probably Steel Hooves, but I love the Ministry Mares. They're awesome. So for like this one, that land animation that I made is here. That same one I just repurposed for this shot, and so that I didn't have to reuse it again. So it's not like I wasted time with it. Oh, here's a little thing. This is cool. You can show you the technicalities behind this shot. Yeah, no, you did work on Mass Effect back when they were still good. No, actually, I love Andromeda on multiplayer, but why is he shiny? Okay, ignore the fact that he is sweating profusely, but this shot is actually like really complicated to do because I was trying to portray falling, but they're actually not falling. This is a camera thing, so he's actually staying still. So we'll just turn off lighting so it runs a little quicker. So I use the clouds to try to portray some of the speed that's going by. Pseudo 4DE is actually pretty good. I just never played around with it, especially when I noticed there was money. Okay. So to make this city look big, there's no actual city below. It's just all a big texture that just is using bump maps. And so what I did was I created in SFM a whole cityscape on the ground, and then I took a picture of it, and then I applied a bump map, put it to a texture on a flat object, and then just repeated it forever. So if you actually look, I think from where the camera first drops, from here, I made sure that all the buildings look like they're facing, so you can actually see that it looks like they're facing towards the center. But if you actually go far enough out, it hits the next model. It actually resets, and suddenly the buildings are now looking the other way. So they're looking this way instead. But those are actually a city that I built put it on the ground, and then lit with a bump map, and then I just repeated them forever. And then just to create a little extra bumps, I just added bits. But these are all arced because I wanted to make it look like it was going off into the distance more. So all these models are not flat. This is actually like a manually placed concave ground. I just placed some mountains around the side so that it created a break because I didn't want... I was worried about having a flat horizon around the outside, so I had some places, but otherwise I just had the mountains there. Otherwise, for here, he is not moving. He's just standing or sitting still. And a lot of the dragons, just to save processing, are just the same dragons, just repositioned. So you can see them jumping all over the place. If they're not on camera, I just reused them again. To signify falling a little bit, these dragons aren't actually coming closer to the camera. They're getting scaled. So this one, he's actually being scaled to be bigger to portray he's falling and getting closer. I think this one down here was done the same. Yeah, so you can actually see him getting a little bigger. Because I wanted to show things falling, but the highest I can only go is so far, and if I want to try to give a false sense of scale on the ground, I had to give a false sense of scale in falling. So this was the most technologically difficult scene to do because I wasn't sure how to do that. And I'm actually happy that it turned out as well as it did. So, oh, here's another fun one. There's another Rainbow Dash. Actually, it's not Rainbow Dash. It is Daring Do is in Rainbow Dash's head. Main 2. Let's see if it's this one. Yeah. So, there's actually a Daring Do in her head because I needed the hair to be backwards, but the hair only went forward. And if I wanted to use overrides to hide the eyes, because I would have to modify the actual model itself, so I had to use one that looked like it. Daring Do is just a recolor, so I recolored Daring Do to be Rainbow Dash, modified the eye textures to be invisible, and then just jammed her head into Rainbow Dash's where the hair was going the other way. So that's how I ended up doing that. And it worked. Sam Rose's hair is just Dragon Ball's Dragon Ball's Goku Super Saiyan 3 hair. What specs your PC? Well, do know that like right now it's running good, but if I were to turn on, yeah, no, this is what it looks like with everything on. Why is he shiny? That's really bugging me. But my specs are a 4770K i7 processor and a 1080 Ti graphics card. But when I made this, I was running two 970s, but technically SM only uses one graphics card, so it only used one of my 970. So it's, when I upgraded to 1080, oh my god, the processing difference. You want to see a complex scene? Hold on. This one, I'm going to take a bet that it is going to crash before it opens. I'm already sitting at Red Ram. Red Ram. What would you say is your best animation? I would probably say my Fallout video, the Leaving the Stable, only because that one was actually built. I loved the cinematics of it, the lighting of it, the audio that was from it was so well done by ABC. I just felt that everything about that was great. All the stuff it made since might be more... Yay, crashed! I win. All the stuff since might be more complex in some areas, but I always felt that that one was the best overall. Beginning to end, every aspect of it was really, really well done, and I'm really proud of it. Where do you work? I work at a company... Kind of. I work at a company called Medivators, but technically I've kind of moved to the corporate side, which is Cantel Medical, where I work in corporate compliance for quality, and I'm assisting with the transformation from ISO 1345 2003 to the ISO 1345 2016 throughout all Cantel affiliates. A lot of wording. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm learning a lot. So, yeah, as SFMM is graphics card intensive by far. So having a good processor helps, but if you have a really, really good graphics card, that's where your benefit's going to come from. And it's not about having two graphics cards. You have to have one. I did a test where I tried with a single 970 and two 970s, and there was like no performance difference. So it doesn't know how to utilize multi-GPU. I like SFM since I discovered your channel. Thank you for making me laugh. Well, thank you for watching, because it does mean a lot. I wouldn't be making stuff if people weren't there to see it, so I do appreciate it. This is going to take a little while to open. Any reason you're streaming on YouTube and not Twitch? Mainly because it's the 1 year or the 4 year thing. I wanted to do that because the main reason I never streamed on YouTube before was I didn't want to spoil content that I'm making publicly. So I wanted to put it in a separate place so that people might feel obligated that if I have it up, they have to watch. But the main purpose of the stream is to help people out and answer questions. I just work on stuff in the meantime. So I want to make sure that they're there and available as a resource. So if you are trying to learn SFM, I do stream on Twitch at 6 o'clock Central Time, which is an hour from now, normal time, on Tuesdays and Fridays normally. So do check that out. I think there's a link in the YouTube description below. Are you working on any large animations? Yes, I am working on some Fallout Equestria video with the mini streamers. I will open that up if you want later, but I'm going to do it at the end of the stream because I don't want to spoil anything for people if they don't want to be spoiled. So I'm going to give a whole warning ahead of time. Some people really... I'm a big anti-spoiler person, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Yeah, oh yeah. So if you want to know what it takes to make stuff, is this. 7,500 hours that I've broken now in Source FilmMaker. That's a lot. So I'm still learning. Don't think that I feel like I know everything. No, this is probably the most intense scene that I've made in terms of build. This is how fast it's moving the camera. I am currently at 1 frame a second because it is just so big. If I shut the lights off, it gets better. But it's just enormous, like the explosion bits, and I don't know what the errors are. I think it's just some of the trash bits. And there's me dead on the ground because I had to put myself in there somehow. But like, and actually this isn't the actual bit. I have to get... What point is the particles cut in? I think it's here. Yeah, so this is where the actual thing was taken. So it's putting all these models in. I have to override the skybox, that's why it doesn't look great right now. There was just a lot of detail they wanted to put into this, and voila. So, but the only reason this was difficult was because I couldn't get rid of the models that were not on camera, which is normally what I do. I had to remove them all to save on processing. But here, since it was a 360 shot, it was difficult to make that work. And to show what the final of that was, because this is on DeviantArt that I posted this, it is this one. So that was what the final ended up looking like. So, but it was difficult to try to make it so that, because the point of when I did this was, in terms of the complexities, the things I had to think about, was I wanted to make it so that Blackjack and the characters that she had focused on in her story were all on one side of her. So that's what I got these three for. And then that when it swapped over to showing Pip, that Pip's side showed all of Pip's people, which would be this. So now you have those four in the full shot. So I wanted to set it up like that originally. I had to actually modify the lighting as this is passing by to make it so that it's bright enough to actually give that effect. So this was a very difficult thing. This took me like a month and a half just to make a still shot. So, but I'm really proud of it. I've actually used resources from that too. Reuse, recycle. Nice blue areas in the background. Yes, it's I changed out because if you go into your game info list, you can turn on and off games, and I've hit my model limit, so I just turn off things that aren't needed at the time. And so something that's in one of the ones I've shut off is probably what's being shown. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Day of Defeat or something. So it's if I were to turn those on, it would work. But if I do, then the stuff I'm working on right now that's utilizing it as it is wouldn't work right. If I would have known more of how to organize these things earlier on, I would have better separated the models and how I keep things organized. But early on, I just kept dropping everything in my user mod, and so it just got jam-packed full of stuff that I don't care about anymore. I have like even with those shut off, I'm currently running like 42,000 models. Would you give personal SFM lessons if somebody paid you in the form of support? No. Only because then it feels like an obligation to. And I prefer that if I'm going to provide information to people to be helpful, I would rather do it in a way that could help everybody. So that's why I have the streams. If you have questions, I have no problem answering them. I will stop everything I'm doing to answer any questions on the streams, even if the example takes a while. And then because more than likely, if you have a question for something, somebody else does too. So I've done it before where I've answered a question, like the next stream somebody's asked the same question. I can just say, I already had that question answered. Here's a reference point that you can watch as many times as you want. So that's the great point about doing it. So, but for one-on-one, no, that would be too much of a time sink to me. My time, personally, I see my time as very valuable. So I don't want to, if it were to come down to something like that, I would, to make it feel worthwhile to me, it would be pricey, and I'm not gonna do that. And the whole purpose of Patreon is more of to allow people a method to share and provide support if they so feel. But I really don't give any benefits on there because I don't want to make people feel obligated to do something like that. Almost everybody that's on there is doing it because they want to, and I think that's amazing. But I've just been leaving it as that. Are you making another chapter? No, I'm not. There's other people that have actually done most of episode 1 from ABC. If you ever followed Equestria, so just go and you can go and look that up. But I am making more, and again, I'll show more on that later. Let's see here. Yeah, PNG sequence is how I export everything. I have the after or the creative suite, so I put everything into image sequences. I don't know why I wanted to load this. I every now and then it's been a while since I've done it, but I do a 30-minute challenge where I just try to make something in 30 minutes, and no matter how shitty it is, and that's what that is. Oh, we still have Duffer Waffles. Oh, this is... Well, that's actually not what I was thinking it was, but okay. We'll just go with okay. Or this one. That was a 30-minute challenge. This is another one. Poor Dash. I forgot the colors were weird. That one was, I think, less than 30 minutes. What are these? Oh, Glitz and Ham was effed up. I remember that one. I'm trying to remember what some of these are. I had to go back and rename some of these. Actually, one of them I never put out was an anthology short I never did. Do you accept boops as a form of moral support? Yes, I will take a boop. Boops are acceptable. This was somebody was asking for an example. Oh, I had an override on a bump map. That's what's causing Dash to do that. And until I restart SFM, it's just going to keep her broken. It's a weird override thing that shouldn't. I don't think it's meant to do that. Override shouldn't affect other models, but that one does. But someone was looking for a lip sync tutorial, and then we just ended up taking it further, like a lot of other stupid stuff in the streams.
You cannot hide from Pink Pony.
Never got whatever. Close that. That one never got anywhere. I had a lot. I always have ideas. It's just if you know an idea is going to take months, it's trying to sift through there and pick the right one. And sometimes you pick the one that you didn't actually want to do, and you end up getting rid of it. How long do you need on average for a project? I have averaged projects anywhere from like for instance this one I made in 7 hours, but it was because I reused animation from other stuff a lot. Oh yeah, this is just the one bit. So this was done in 7 hours because it was rushed, and this animation that she's doing right there is a copy of actually I think I did this during last year's, or it might have been the year before's stream. This one, I think I did this during the two year. Yeah, I did this in 2016 for the 2-year anniversary. But so I just took that exact animation, copy pasted that, and then dropped it in here, and then just timed it so that every hoof came down with the keys. So that's. Oh yeah, this is the blooper version. So that all it was copying animation. So that's what saved me a lot of time in doing it. And that came about because during the stream, we loaded a piano and then we loaded in somebody and just we loaded the animation just to bash, and I had a goofy face in it, which is what is at the end of the video. This one doesn't have everything. I'm not sure where the full one is. I'm not really worried about it. Sometimes I accidentally save over things afterwards and I lose it. Oops. Can we see the WoW explosion again? Yeah, I do still have that. Actually, people have mentioned that look like a Smile HD one from Pinky as well. Are you a fan of Vault Equestria? Sitting right next to me is the book. We're actually reading it for the local book club. We're about, I'd say, 3/4 of the way through. And I have all these little notes here. This is one of them. If we go to the other one, here's the rest of them. These are all marked memory orbs of whenever the Ministry Mares or anything was done, so that I have a reference because I'm doing stuff based on the Ministry Mares. So I don't know how many people have seen the bloopers that I have in this, but I actually have a lot of bloopers in this, and we'll just ignore Dash being broken again. Oh, nope, okay, here, we'll fix Dash. So related, sorry, but is there a place we can watch Clusterjack if it got taken down? They got taken down? YouTube doesn't really let you know very well. It's probably up, it's just probably blocked in some countries. Other than, no, there's really no other place than where it is right now. I didn't even know Chemistry was taken down for copyright until geez, like about 6 months ago. And then I was looking around because it was done for a year. I went looking around for an updated audio that could work better, but I really couldn't find any that worked, like that were good, until Amy Lee came out with some, and then I had her do some really messy editing, but I ended up making something work. So they don't really do a good job letting you know. What do you think of the book, even though it is a My Little Pony fan fiction? I love fan fictions. I read them all the time. I've been reading Australia for a long time. That's what that one trailer video I made was based on. No, I love Vault Equestria. I don't call it the best work. There are other ones that are on par really well. It was just probably one of the best blending of two fandoms I've ever seen, in terms of making it so that it felt less like a merger and more of its own thing. So that's what made that story really, really interesting to me. So Anyways, so so for this, so I'm gonna try to find where I had my bloopers. So these are light green. I normally color code these where blue means I haven't started it or it's very early. Red means things are planned out but are still being developed. Yellow means that the animation is mostly done. I just have to do cleanup. Green means ready to render. But then I went through here again and did another cleanup bit, so I made it lighter green. Purple usually just means reference and other stuff. In this case, I don't even know what this is. Oh, this is the garden. Oh, okay, so here's a part in the video that never got put out. This is a whole garden I built outside this wall. And originally my plan was, before the video, I was going to give context to the situation, and I was going to get VAs to do Celestia and Twilight and have a conversation for about a minute and a half. I never went through with that, though, because the amount of time I put into the main video, I was like, I want to move on to other stuff. I need to call this one done. And it was also BronyCon was coming up, so I just ended it where it was, and instead try to utilize the story to tell it without needing that. So that's why, like, here there was a originally going to be, ignore the grass. Originally was going to be Celestia and Twilight sitting out in the grassy fields having a conversation, but that got dropped. But I spent a lot of time making this thing really pretty. So, but yeah, that was never used. It's even got a fountain with apparently the blood fountain where they throw in the non-believers, then melt them. That's not actually water. That's the steam. So yeah, but I did end up using these again because, like, this map actually has this whole ceiling thing that never got shown, and I originally had Pegasus like statues on these little corners, and that never got shown either. Ideas that never played out. I actually think, yeah, I started a path on this side too. I just never got around to finishing it. I'll try to catch up here. Again, if you put hashtag and then my name in full, it highlights it, makes it easier to find things. Have you thought about doing any Disney references? No, no. Again, I try not to do references. I'd rather make my own thing. I thought of making a Discord server. I had thought about it. It's just that I'm really lazy in terms of maintaining it, and so I have never gotten around to it. But I have considered it. Oh, here's pony kart racing. Oh, not one. We're gonna have to play this weird. Oh no, I could probably extend this. Come on, come on, because I got to do the pony karts. What is, I don't know what Applejack's doing there. We're gonna just let it go. Okay, so it's all further ahead. So oh, they're done already. So we got the racings, and there's no camera, so start the race and go on. They will go soon. Oh, so it is further ahead. Okay. Okay, this is just being goofy. Oh, I'm not in... Oh, no, I know what it is. Their life is not extended far enough. Let's see here. SM is this weird thing where the models have lifetimes. Okay. That should do it. Alright, let's try this again. Okay. And now they can race. Yay. Rah. No. Yeah, she won. Where's Applejack? There she is. Oh, it's crashed. And then in my blooper highlights from a while ago. Anyways, so let me get back here to shrink this down so my audio is timed right. Okay. What would be your dream project if you could? That's a really hard question. I have a lot of videos that I'd want to do. I wouldn't be able to tell you offhand though. And also, if I'm potentially going to do them, I prefer not to say it either. There's a lot of stuff I potentially want to do. But it's just that animation takes a long time, so it's just picking and choosing. But if I had infinite time, that would be I'd have to sit down and like make out a chart as to which one would be preferred. How long does it take one of these videos? This one originally took 2 years, but I started the map in 2013, and then I got rage quit at Hammer, which is the map editor. Ended up quitting it completely for like probably about a year, and then I did a vote, and people voted for this to win to continue, so I did. And then it took about 9 months after that. Could you do a whole animation of an MLB episode? I could. I'm not going to. The biggest question you will get, you have a Delphi picture. Yeah, I have the picture, I just don't remember where it... Well, actually, wait. Maybe I do. No, I don't have Blake anymore. But yeah, I still have it somewhere. A Nightmare Moon or Daybreaker any videos? Not right now. I've done pictures and stuff. I had some ideas for a Daybreaker thing, but I never went around it to do it. Anyways, for the random stuff here, I don't want to play too much of the audio too, because again, YouTube being stupid. That one doesn't have anything. This one does. So I just named folders for what the fuck for everything. So for this one, we have our airplanes. I don't really know how that came about. I'm just thinking like some like Godzilla Twilight. One. I am Twilight. Godzilla pony. Wow. But I can't remember where that came from. I got that one though. Nothing for that one. That one. That one. These shots were done. There was no way to actually like fade in and out a model. So what I actually did was I rendered it fully with them visible with their brightness bumped way up so they like kind of glowed a little bit. Rendered it out with and without them, and then I just faded between the shots. Same here. So this one took I think 3 renders or 4 renders because I had to do one with each and then one without them all. So this is what the actual render would have looked like originally. And this was like a last minute decision. I showed this at BronyCon and I started the idea for this shot the Friday before the convention. So it took me, I had to finish it in a weekend. Otherwise I didn't know what to put here. The original idea was to take a camera that, I don't think I have that camera anymore. No. That would spin around Twilight and it would fade in between shots of her friends coming out like from nothingness and having it fade between different shots to show the interactions with them each individually. So to have like Rainbow Dash fly in, but to have the entire scene fade to a Rainbow Dash scene within the same scene, because I had originally done some testing. This is the reason I did the testing. Actually, I don't even remember. I think it was called fade testing. I might not have it here, and I don't want to go digging for it. But I tested that you could actually have like 2 renders with the exact same camera and the exact same model positioning, and if they're rendered the same, you could actually fade them between each other and they looked identical, except for the whole background would change behind them. It was really neat. So I was really going to do that, but then I ended up running out of time. I'm not going to do any EQG stuff. I'm just going to stick with my 4-legged friends. How do you get the lips to sync with what is being said? Patience and a lot of like slowing it down to super slow and then just going through a little bit. I can try to do some a little later, but that's time consuming as hell. But lip syncing and talking characters is adds a lot of emotion to somebody, and it does help a lot to be able to do that, to have that mouth moving. I wish I could do more shots like that. It's just, again, time consuming. So for here, when I rendered one with all her friends. And that I didn't want to show a face, because if you showed a face, it portrayed too much of, like, I guess a human, or like it gave them life, and I didn't want them to have a life. I wanted them like a memory, and to me a memory with a face becomes more than just a memory. It's like they're actually there. So I didn't want to show any of their faces for this whole part. But then, so that's why when I did it right when her face popped up, I instead just rendered it with Celestia back in there, like she came back to reality. Though somebody did mention that the guards were in the shot the whole time, because oops. But so that's the whole reason that I did that. To show how some of the lighting works in here. So like to get this shot to look nice in the background, the light's only actually hitting like the certain intros. These windows aren't actually light streaming through there. They're a gobo texture, so they're a texture of that window that's being just shined through. That's why you can see it partially kind of coming through out here, to give that aspect and that feel of it. There's lights that are being shined just inside these windowsills to allow them to glow. There's a lot of time put into lighting for this, but that's some of the best lighting I think I've done. I think I have some in the next shot just here. Yeah, this one. So for this shot, we have her enhanced book armor. It doesn't stay between shots. So enhanced book armor, and then we also have my attempt to make Princess Twilight as an alicorn, by not doing a retexture, but by actually stretching out the Twilight model, which actually kind of worked. I was actually surprised. The head doesn't work. It kind of just feels like a baby's head put on an adult body. And then for testing it, I hope it's so big. It's if you don't know something's going to work or not, try it. And so it was just testing that I do on a lot of stuff to figure out what my limitations are. Yeah, if you can put a hashtag, thanks, Chan. Hashtag my name. It's much easier to pull out questions. I might actually start just reading those, because otherwise it's hard to read through everything. Because I'm reading and talking at the same time, and that makes my brain hurt. No, actually, book armor. Like I think what was it? Mythbusters showed a thing that paper armor is actually like super strong and actually works. It's not as strong as like steel, but it makes up for it by being immensely lighter, and it actually can stop like arrows and stuff. So no, paper armor is actually pretty damn strong. There is also in this shot. Oh, that's quite a bit more horrifying. Oh, maybe I did recolor. No, that's not Celestia. So this is. Let's do this. It's like Twilight, Twilight. What are you screaming about? There's a bug. It's over there. It's over there. Go get it. Well, she has Oliver locked. But I also know I did. These. Okay, that was just something stupid. I don't know sometimes. Let's see what else I got here. Do you use Ponypheno map for lip syncing? No, I do not. A lot of those are. Mouthing isn't just about going from one letter to another, one sound to another. There's a blending between them. It makes things easier to use the phoneme mapping, but I prefer to go sound by sound to where I can overlap them so that if I need an A and an E sound or something on top of each other, it's not like lapping them over on top of each other, but slightly. Like you start with one sound and have it start ending when the other one cuts in. That's going to give you a much better result, but it's also super time consuming. Oh, Takio. You coming out of context is great. What else we got here? So this one didn't have anything. Nope. 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 I'm just looking for the WTF folders. Actually, I want to see if I can find it quick. Something that's interesting, and I know some people find interesting, is that when I was originally making this video, I was working with Gun Griffin for some of the models early on, which he is the one that did, if you look up on the ceiling here, he's the one that made these models for me, which matched the show. Just out of nowhere, he just made those. But more noticeably is he made this, the door, based on a sketch that I did up. And it was awesome of him. And Aggie helped with adding some of the bones to the stars later. And so I was originally trying to pass the idea back and forth with him. So like, this is the idea that I have. So he could kind of have an idea as to what was doing. I'm just checking to see if I can find. Okay, so in the conversation with him, which was in 2013, you can actually see here I have the entire script idea down to time frame, and this was before I even had anything done with it. But one of them that like I thought was interesting was for this one shot, to show how I matched it up as close as I could. Like Twilight Sparkle steps in front of the statues, trailing her hoof at one point on potential plaques or insignias below the statues. That is this shot. And then, oops. No, that was one of the potential ideas for a thing that didn't work out. Another one is camera is behind the statues and pans down back towards the circle on the floor where Twilight is just making her way to head low. She will be singing the vocals from here forward. On the front note, she raises her head for effect. That's what this is. Comes back from the ponies, comes around to the circle, head low, starts singing from here on out, and raises head for effect. So I had it in my head, I just wrote it down because I wasn't going to remember any of this. Excited about the new season. I haven't looked up any information for it and keep spoilers away. To me, I'm less focused on the show. I'm more focused on the fandom. The show to me doesn't mean much anymore. It's the what the fandom has created that's great, and eventually the show will be gone. And I think the fandom is what will be continuing on. And the way that I see the fandom now is that's great. I want to see the fandom being pushed forward as it is. So I think that I want to focus more on the fandom side of stuff. Oh, there's ponies in it. Damn. No, Apple Geek is not a neighbor. I live in like around the Minneapolis Twin Cities area in Minnesota. He lives in St. Cloud. That's like an hour and a half northwest of here, so he's not close. For the thing that I did with him, the video, I drove up to his place. He bought me lunch and we did a video. So it was like kind of fun. It was nice being able to talk about something like that in an official setting. But like here, so the scene with the statues, the room has 5 statues, all their friends, plaques and such below. Behind them is 5 stained glass windows, hoping, and that was the link for the one, lined up where the statues are. The room itself is a decent size, but otherwise fairly empty in the center. Probably have candles lining the outside walls. So a lot of this stuff is like, I didn't know some of the intricate little details that I wanted to do for stuff, but I knew the general premise that I wanted to follow. I knew certain scenes, I really wanted this and I really wanted that, and this was defining that. It was saying what points I wanted certain stuff. Like early on, I didn't have any ideas for a lot of the video, and it's just panning to windows. It was general. I really was going through here and just defining the very, very specific spots. Even the part where at the end, where she goes and does explosion. Camera goes over a close-up of the side of Twilight's face and profile, looking exceedingly tired. Oh, no, that's the one, not the one I'm going for. I'm going for... this is the start of the awesome part. Camera pans from front right of Twilight around her as she spreads her wings and takes off, which is... here. So, front right, spreads her wings to take off. And then, gotta go back here. As the camera pans, the lights will get darker and the candles, which I didn't really do this part, will go out just before leaving the frame. The camera will pan around behind Twilight so the statues can be seen past her. And then it's like they're going cracks. This was very... I planned this out quite a bit ahead of time. And don't think that you can make a video like that length with the kind of detail that I was trying to go for without planning. Planning is immensely important. Before you even start animating, you should have at least a general idea as to what you're going to be doing, and you should have everything storyboarded. For example, for my follow-up video, I have some storyboards here. This is how my storyboarding is.
This happen? The ponies are right to hate me. I'm the one who let Velvet get away. Velvet? Why? Why did you go?
On the Pip-Bug radio, the Overmare's reassuring voice is heard.
We are all feeling this loss, but I want to remind every pony
Stream's gonna go till
that
7.
Velvet Remedy chose to do this. She chose to leave her home, to abandon us, her family. She betrayed my trust and she betrayed yours. Just as she betrayed the trust of the pony who she tricked into removing her Pip-Buck, ensuring we could not find her. I know many of you are angry or hurt. I urge you to direct that anger where it truly belongs.
It is then that an encrypted file in Velvet's Pip-Buck catches Little Pip's eye.
What the... It's an audio recording. Maybe it's one of Velvet's new songs?
The override code for opening the door to Stable 2 is CMC3BFF.
The stable door override
Got
code?
dark for some weird reason.
Where did Velvet get this? And why? I'm not sure what's going on or why, Velvet, but I'm sure of what I'm going to do.
The decision was made, there and then, to leave the stable and find Velvet. To leave the stable that no pony had ever left before.
So for the most part, that followed like the general premise of what I had, but I wanted to get a structure down. I wanted to plan it out, because I didn't want to put effort into animating something if it wasn't going to be visible, or like I don't want to put effort into lip syncing if her face wasn't going to be visible. I didn't want to put effort into like keeping everything locked in place if you aren't even going to see it, or animating somebody that's not going to be in the shot. So I wanted to plan it out, put everything in there in nice, good detail, and then I was able to plan out the cinematics way easier. So this whole scene build actually is one giant scene build that I made, and then did all of it within it, and then broke it up. But I had did this for every bit of it, like, so it keeps going for
All set and ready to go.
determining
This is the massive
storyboard.
door that separates Stable 2 from the 2 Earth Pony Guards.
This is more interesting.
Excuse me, if you would let me by.
This point is off limits.
So I didn't care about the details for like how they moved, because it was going to be more nuanced things.
To get me through.
It was more of like just them having life, and I wasn't worried about that. What I wanted to worry about when I was doing the posing was the very important stuff when talking, like what aspects you're doing, because body language says a lot. So I don't want to have her being like here.
Here's hoping my little speech is good enough to get me through.
I wanted to have her head pulled back because in the way it was spoke made it sound like she was like a little hesitant. So I wanted to show that. So I needed to actually have something in the storyboard.
I'm working correctly.
Prove it.
And this camera was different in the final, but it was close.
Now beat it, Pipsqueak.
Apparently not.
But I did that for the whole video, and that's actually that helped. That was the first video I did that for, and it helped immensely having that. So if you're ever going to be planning a really, really big video, try to set up something like that. Try to set up a planning thing, because you'd be amazed how many times the things that were in your head, when you actually put it down in the software or on paper, how crappy it looks, and you realize that's not going to work, and you just keep redoing it. Yes, I will be making more Fallout Equestria videos. I'm working on one now, but it's long, so it's going to take a while. After 7 o'clock, I was going to probably show a little bit of it before I cut in the stream. Thanks. I'm glad. Anything to make you go and create, I'm fine with. So go and make stuff. Thanks, Tom. Do you prefer to animate the lip sync on moving models or stationary? That is very, very easy question. Stationary. I do all the lip syncing beforehand. I cannot do lip syncing when moving because I'd like to go up really, really close, and normally I'll actually open up a secondary camera, and so I will have like the camera looking from the front and then another one from the side, and so that I can get the idea for it, or having one that's more free roam. But I will almost always do the lip syncing on a stationary model. Even if I have the animation partially done, I'll load a different model, do all the lip syncing on there, and then load it back. I have to have them staying still. I do have to like modify the facial expressions. So if they're like sad or angry or happy, I do have to modify the model's expressions to match. Otherwise I have difficulty matching it, because if they're angry and I have to portray angry talking or happy with happy talking, that helps a lot. Why is your memory in red? SFM is only a 32-bit program, so it can only utilize so much of your memory, which is about 33 to 3,500 megabytes. After a certain point, it starts turning red to just let you know, hey, we're getting kind of full here. And then once you actually get to that full amount, it just crashes the software completely. So it actually is a pretty nice little thing to say that's red. And so if I'm just sitting here, it's not going to do anything for memory. But if I start jumping to other shots and has to load more stuff in, also, SFM maintains a huge undo log, so I can undo everything that I've been doing for the last hour. That starts building up in memory. It just eventually you're going to crash just because of full memory, and that's probably my biggest negative with the software. See if we can find more goofies. Oh yeah, the Celestial Dragon of Doom. Very evil dragon. I don't know what I was doing. I think I made the chin and then just went from there. Oh, and those black bars are actually fake that I have in here. Technically, this is what the full video is. But the black bars are there because for certain shots, like this one, she's technically standing on nothing. But with the black bars, bam. And I did that because it definitely added a cinematic feel to it. Is there a way to fix the red memory? Nope. The only way to really reduce memory is don't load stuff. If it starts getting full, you can manually close the software and reopen it, and then everything's going to be emptied again. That helps, but if you have a shot that literally just has so much stuff in it that is sitting in red memory all the time, you can't do anything about that. If you have a shot that has a lot of ponies in it, every pony model, just to show a comparison, let's look up a mailbox. So let's just look at this mailbox. So you can see here in this mailbox how many polygons it has. So a polygon would be like from here to here, this little box, that's one polygon, or like from these corners. So there's really not that many, you know, maybe like 100 or something, but it's not that bad. But if you were to go to load up a pony model, this is a different story, especially if you start looking at the enhanced ones. So yeah, let's just use Tempest here for instance. This is how many polygons just the face has. There's a lot more detail in this, which means they take up a lot more memory. The textures that are used in them are much higher quality textures. That eats up more memory. So every time you load a pony, you are adding more memory to it for every single pony you add. Just by looking at some of this stuff, I already jumped to 3,000. But if you load up the same pony model, and I did a test for this, so if I have like 20 models, different models on the screen at one time, the software starts lagging pretty bad, and the memory starts getting really high. But if I load in one model, and for the test I loaded Lyra, I loaded like 400 Lyras, and it was fine. It was lagging a little bit, but memory-wise, it was still very low. That was because the software is only loading one model, and then just repeat. It doesn't have to use more memory than that one. So anytime I've done a shot, and one of the examples of this would be from chemistry. For this shot, that is a lot of ponies to have loaded. There was no way I was going to be able to load this many all the way off into the distance here, because this isn't even all of them. All the way back into that little bit. The only way that I made that work was I actually loaded up 6 models and then forcibly did recolors on all of them. So instead of having unique models for every bit, I was only loading up different textures for every one. So the software only needed to load some of these unique ones for these certain characters. But most of these ones in the background are just 6 different models that are all recolored. I think each one has 3 or 4 different recolors, and then they're spaced out. So then I only had 6 more in memory instead of like 60. So that was why the only way, and this shot had to be separated completely from the video because it has so much memory used as it is. So that's one way to fix memory issues, is instead of using multiple different models, try to utilize the same model with recolors. Jasper Pi, a name sounds familiar, but not really. Is it better doing background blur direct in SFM or cut out layer? No, SFM actually does, and if you're talking about background blur, you're talking about like having the depth of field with Twilight blurred out here, you're always going to get a better effect on that. Anytime you do cutout stuff, it's not going to look the same. Their depth of field, as long as you probably sit with a render setting of, I would say at least 128, and for the render setting, for instance, this is camera setting. Oh no, the camera setting actually was pretty high on this one. So 8, you can start seeing some of the, I wonder if I should turn off the motion. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that there's only like 8 different blurs and it's kind of low quality. But if you start jumping this up to higher numbers, like 128, now there's 128, I should probably hit okay with that, that are now blurred together. And that creates a nice, nice fuzzy, good edge. We kind of did a test with it, and the way I've seen it is that at the bare minimum, your render settings for your depth of field and your motion blur, if you have a lot of motion, motion blur, but otherwise, for at least for depth of field, if you have a lot of heavy depth of field, should be at least 64. Anything below that was when you start really noticing it. Recommended is 128, but if you have a really complex scene, that's going to increase your times pretty drastically. If you have a pretty simple shot, you could go higher, but don't think that you have to go to like 1024 for maximum quality, because your renders are sometimes going to take 4 to 5 minutes a frame, and if you have minutes of stuff to render, that'll take you days. I one time had a render that was so complex that running it at 64 alone took 32 hours. I don't want to do that, so I dropped it to 32 so I could have it done quicker. And even then, because I had to do other stuff, I rendered it in 4 different sections and then merged the renders. So, I actually think SFM does good with the blur, so I wouldn't worry about doing it in post. What about the aperture and the camera settings? Okay, so for aperture, so for anybody that doesn't know, the camera here, aperture, has the main things that control your blur in terms of your distance are your focal distance and your aperture. Focal distance determines your point of focus, and your aperture determines how much. So if you actually go into your display and turn on focal plane, you can actually see where the line of focus is. So in here, my focus is on the door, and I can move that to where I want it to be. And then the aperture would control where I wanted to have that, or how much of that blur. So normally for like a shot like this, I wanted her blurred out because I wanted the door to be the focus. I wanted, when you have a shot that pops up, you want to make sure that you have it set up so that whatever you need somebody to see, they are focused on as soon as possible. You don't want them, I mean, if you have a shot that's showing a large area, sure, you want them to look at everything. Nice pan, just give it time to see it. But in here, I wanted one thing to be seen, and that was the door. But I wanted to show her on the side as a side thing, like you are her looking at the door from her perspective. So I wanted her to have her blurred out quite a bit. So that's what I did. But like if I turn the aperture up, I could make her blur out even more. But then I start losing her as a person. I don't want that. I wanted to still have enough detail to still pick out who she was, but I didn't want something like this to where there's no blur. Because then if this shot pops up and she's floating, there, the focus is more difficult to determine. What am I to be looking at? And you don't want to give the user time, or the viewer, you don't want to make the viewer have to figure out what am I supposed to focus on. You want them to be right on what you want them to be on, because then it makes it immersive, and they're not, if the viewer has to think about what they're seeing or think as from the outside perspective, you've ruined it. So I needed to have just the amount of aperture so that she was blurred, but still with enough detail to tell who it is easily. So that's what that was. But yeah, you can go up into stupid amounts of aperture. Normally, how I see aperture working is that if you're doing a close shot, so if you ever want to get into cinematography, the one thing I recommend reading is there's a website called Floopy Newbie that did a cover of The Incredibles. I keep a shortcut to it because it's so useful. And they go over the cinematography of The Incredibles in terms of their use of color and camera. Super useful to read. A lot of it is pretty basic stuff, but it gives examples. And for a lot of people, this is what makes and breaks being able to learn something. So being able to see how they utilize shots and explains some of them and how they do it. But normally how I see it is that if I have a shot that is encompassing, I'm going to make a new camera so I'm not playing with one that already exists. Oh, I should probably use it in this shot. So, if I have a shot that's going to be further back and encompassing the entire body, I'm going to probably use a lens that's about 35 because I want to be able to show them as a full person and with a lot of stuff. So it feels like the background, and you can see them in their environment. Normally for a shot like that, I'm either going to show their whole body like this, or I'm going to have it probably at about their leg level. It's different for people. I've just kind of interpreted how I'd want to see it as for a pony. So this would be kind of what I would do for a shot for that, I would probably then go put the focus right here. And because I'm going to be focusing more on the background and her together, I don't want to have a high aperture. So I'm going to probably put it up enough so the background is maybe slightly blurred, but not too much. So probably do something like that. So the background here is a little bit blurred, but otherwise she's still a focus, and usually utilized through lighting. But everything feels natural in terms of how you're looking for the sizing. And that's why I like having these millimeter for cameras. If you're looking to do a more personal shot, 50 millimeter is recommended if you're trying to make it how we see the world. So 50 millimeter is going to be this, and this is considered to be how we see. So if you're trying to make it look like, if you're trying to make it look like a shot that has from your perspective as from your literal eyes, 50 millimeters is good. You're usually going to be looking at about a mid shot, which is probably going to be, you don't cut off at limbs, like don't cut off right here because you're just going to look like a swan floating in the river. And don't cut off at the knees, you want to be in the middle. So I'd probably do something like either like this or like this, about mid body. And so, oh, I'm going to go back to my 50. I'm going to zoom in here. So this would be a pretty much good 50 shot. I'm going to move it here, and because now I'm closer, I'm going to make it a little bit more blurred. I'm going to put the aperture up. So this would be a pretty good 50 shot. Because now this definitely feels more like a personal interaction. If you want to do a close-up, then you'd be going up to your 85. Boop. Put up your aperture some more. And that's essentially what this camera is. I think this one is a 85. Yeah, this one is an 85, and the background is very blurred because then it's a close-up. And so you can say that 35 is trying to show where they are in the world, so a back shot is showing where they are in the world. A 50 is more like a personal interaction, like you're talking with the person. And a 85 close-up shot is where you're trying to look at them for their emotion and their reactions in their face. And that's what I was doing here, so I went with an 85. So yeah, there is a lot of science that can go into like some of the cinematography of how you want to do things, but it's all just based on what works the best in your situation. So, but most of the times, the only really cameras I use are going to be the 35, 50, and 85, and I try not to sit outside those ranges because those are fairly industry standard. So, if I can utilize a industry standard, it gives the movie feel of things so that's why even the black bars, I had some people asking like, well, why would you cover up part of the screen, or why are you recording this in 24 frames when you can do it in 60? Because I'm trying to give the feeling that the movies give, and if you it might be a lower frame rate, but it gives a false sense of cinematics, and if I can utilize anything to give that, I will. Hello Raven, my Saturday is going well. How was yours? Well, I guess you did say. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, well, how is it going? I haven't done commissions. I had an idea for some, but I'm not gonna bring it. I'm not gonna like talk about it because don't know if I'm gonna do it or not. But I'm not. I did one commission, and even then, technically, for the amount of work that was put into it, I really didn't get anything for it. But it was something that sounded really fun to make, so. The payment was more in the fun of doing it. I found a lot of putty module, but it has part of purple and black texture errors. How do you fix that? The purple and black texture error is due to it missing textures. Normally it's an installation error. So the model, when it was brought in and installed into there, either A, doesn't have or wasn't put in the correct directories, or something went wrong with it so it can't link to it correctly, or that it is having a conflict. So if another game has a texture of the same name within the same location, it doesn't know which one to use, but normally that would cause other errors. But normally it's just installation error is almost always what causes that. So just double check what you put in works. When working with particles, oh hi Zero Strain. When working particles, do you make custom particles or do you just edit existing ones? I have made some custom. What's an example of a custom? Most of the ones I have an example of are in my current video, which I don't want to spoil. Actually, this video had a few. So like towards the end here, most of this explosion is copy particle effects from Dota, Half-Life, just various ones that I've repurposed, recolored. Texture or particles are an ass. So if you can take something that already exists and repurpose it to your use, awesome. The one thing I think that I did make myself was the floating, or like these little floating lines going around her. I think I made that myself, but it's kind of an accident. But anytime you can, just copy something else's particle. Dota has some amazing particles and such a large library with all their different heroes that you have almost anything you could ever need. Don't think that if you can think it up, it probably has something that's at least close enough for you to repurpose. And if you're trying to learn particles, the best way to do it is to go and find a particle that exists and just start changing numbers. Because you can see what it actually does. If I change this, what does it do? And then you've learned something. That's how I learned a lot of stuff. Like when Zachariah was on here, his stuff, I got to see him putzing with stuff, and that gave me enough of a base to springboard off of. I still don't know that much about particles. The particle editor in here is like from 1984, and it's a bunch of shit. But it still works. So, like, one of them I did make from scratch was the Magic Aura. These ones. But these ones are fairly simple compared to some of these other ones. Like if you look at this technically isn't really that complex. I added more stuff in here than I probably needed to. But really, if you really want to learn particles, just putz with other particles. It's why redo work when SFM and Valve have given you a huge library to work from. Utilize the resources. There's some people that like have said, I want to make my own walking animation because I want it to be mine when I put in the video. Why? There's been so many people that have made some and they're putting out there for free for you to use for a reason. And so instead of focusing on making something that somebody else has done, use theirs and make something else. Try to expand your knowledge past that and learn something else. If you want to make it to learn, sure, but if you're using it just because you don't want to use somebody else's thing that they provided for free for you to use, just use it. If Takio's still in here, I think he was, I use his walk animation for everything. Oh, hello. Yeah, Zachary, I haven't really watched over there because every now and then, the cow thing was actually very interesting with Grand Theft Auto 5. But I do have to go over there and check what you got going on because your particles are always great. No training for No, I do training for not training. I just answer questions. I've had sometimes a stream where I have like 2 hours I'm explaining something, and I have no problem doing it because I think if I'm explaining something, even if I know how to do it, I learn a lot from it. I learn even because sometimes it's like you learn some of the more advanced stuff, but then you start forgetting some of the basics, or you forget some of the ways you can use it. So by sometimes backing off a little bit and going back over some of the normal, what would be normal considered basic, I go over it and I learn a different way to use it, and then that's just like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that, and that's awesome. So definitely, it's as much of a learning experience for me as it is for everybody else. Have you ever played Kingdom Hearts? The first one, I ended up making the gummy ship in there to look like the RV from Spaceballs. But I haven't played any of them since. I've only played the first one. I haven't tried to make one of my own for the same reason. Like yours is good. There's a little bit of like leg slide, but normally I can fix it in any type. But like almost everything I've used for walking has been yours. I believe this one is yours. Oops, I probably should select a model when I do that. I'm pretty sure this is your walk animation for this one too. Yep, just slow down. I use yours for everything. Trust me, it's so nice. No, I don't do any like personal training stuff. When I first started doing SFM stuff, I got asked that a lot, and I've always been on the mindset that if you help, if you do something for one person, you should do it for everybody. And so doing one-on-one training, one way or another, it, in my mindset, would mean that I'd have to help everybody in that regard in the same way, and that would have been way too time consuming. So that's actually the reason I started streaming. That's why I'm here right now, having done it for 4 years, because it gave me a place that if people ask me a question on DA, I get a note that says, hey, how do you do this? I would give them, if it's complex and I couldn't put it in text, I would just say, I'm going to explain it in the next stream. Please go to the stream. I'll cover it. And if you're not there, it'll be recorded and uploaded later. And then you can just watch it then. And that's usually been enough for people. Because if it's done that way, I can go through it as fast as I want. And they can rewatch it 100 times. And it's nice for that. But if you're doing one-on-one, it's a lot more repetition and I can get frustrated. So it's just better this way. I just made a video titled 1,000 subscriber shout out. Feature 17 channels, most rest opponents, majority Muslim, 150 subs. Yeah, actually, if you have a bunch of people that you called out, that's awesome. I actually have a video. Where is it? I think it's in extras. Because a lot of the conventions, we talk about the stuff that we do personally, but I've started doing it where I've been splitting it off, and I've been spending as much time as I can for what I have doing other stuff, like showing other people's content. And I tried it at BronyCon last year, and I actually had like these pieces of paper I printed out that had everybody's channel for all the different videos, and I printed out like, I think like 40 of them, and it got mobbed, and they were all gone, and I was so sad I didn't print more. And I actually had some people commenting in the video saying, hey, I watched it at this panel, you do great stuff. Because I asked people, go to these channels, tell them they're doing a good job, because it really, really helps them learn and move forward. Because if you're making content for other people and you're not getting you're not getting people looking at it, it's hard to keep doing it. But when people get that reinforcement and have somebody go out there and say, I really love what you do, keep doing it. One person saying that on a small channel can completely change somebody's mindset. And it was cool to see people going out and actually doing that. I did not expect people to actually do that. And that was because I had made this, which is just a little promo where I went over and showed some people's videos, put their info down here. And it ended up working out really well. And so I've been really wanting to expand that. So I made a longer version I want to add to it. So if you have a video that has more people in it, awesome. I can keep adding more to it. Like Ninten Catherine here was one that people really dug into. But yeah, because like I don't want a panel to be about people that are up there touting about their own content. I think that's stupid. I'm fine with where I am. I want to help other people get stuff, because there's lots of other people that do amazing stuff and just don't have the visibility. And I think that they deserve it for sure. So like Ninten Catherine, when I think I'm saying that right, when it started was like at 600 subs or something, and their content was like way above what they should have. They should have like 10 times more of that easy, and it just feels wrong. So if I can do anything I can do to help in that regard, I will. I forgot I got to show some of this other stuff. You guys are saying all that stuff. And do know, like, if you feel you're not competent in learning, neither did I. Is when I started this stuff. I mean, here, you want to see the first thing I ever made? I don't even think I have it in this main folder. Okay, this is the first thing I ever made. That took me like an entire Saturday, like the entire day, because I had no idea what I was doing. But I did play it smart. While I was on this software, I watched all of the Source FilmMaker tutorials on their YouTube channel. So I was familiar with the interface. And then I picked something with no bones and that I could just play with the camera and model control without getting complex. But everything, or when starting out, you're always going to have stuff that's going to look bad. And don't think that goes away and you're going to make something that looks, you're going to look personally and say, this is amazing. No, everything you make looks like shit. Trust me. Even Remembrance, there is an amazing amount of like errors that I can't unsee. For instance, like here, the transition between these shots, technically at the very beginning of this shot, the render had a couple frames that she wasn't moving, so she's actually standing still for like 4 frames. It bugs me, and it to me makes it an imperfect video with some of these just small little errors. So don't think that you're going to come out there and you're going to make something that you could say is absolutely amazing. You're learning, and you never stop learning. If you stop learning and you can look at what you've made and say, this is the best I could ever do, and I will never do any better, you might as well stop, because what's the point of continuing further? You should keep trying to learn, keep trying to improve. If you see a challenge and you're not sure how to do it, take that as a challenge to figure out, well, how can I make it work? So make stuff, damn it. Don't worry about it. Just keep going forward. Like should trick found an SFM because you get really short, dreamy. Not sure if that's a question though. How complicated do you get when working with materials or textures? I actually get a lot. Well, like with a lot of these, I try to maintain cartoony because I don't want to lose like the original feel from a cartoony show, which is great for SFM because it stays cartoony. I have went through for like, do I still have this as a frequent? No, I know I had it open not long ago. There, I do have like, I went through and made custom dirt textures for some of these. So that like I could add more detail and stuff like that, but it really just depends on the situation. When you're doing something post-apocalyptic, which I've been doing a lot with, I try to use like a dirt texture or something, because having somebody clean within a dirty environment just doesn't feel right. But I don't want to lose the original feel of the show, so the models themselves I usually still like to keep kind of cartoony, but that also requires that everything else stays cartoony. It's a weird balance to find, but I do try to modify textures to fit my need a lot. But it just, again, depends on the situation. And again, I do customize heavily just because why not? All right, that's a good point. I have a 4770K, but that's right now like the weakest part of my system. And so I was planning on upgrading that whenever the craze for graphics cards goes down and things aren't stupid expensive. How are you get the idea of the new video? If you're talking about how do I get ideas in general, like this video, the song called Remember Me from Thomas Bergerson, I loved this song. I owned the CD well before the Brony fandom, and this was like my favorite song on there. And while I was doing video stuff early on, I just heard this song, and I just had a video start popping up. Like some people would say that they have a video idea and they've tried to find a song to fit it. I'm the other way around. I just had a song and then I made a video fit it. But I feel that almost works better, because if you can time a video with motions and everything to the music, that makes it so much more in-depth, so much more engaging. Just plopping a song on top of the video is not going to get people engaged. It's timing everything with it in every way possible. So I prefer to have a song and then try to make the video work to it. Every artist hates their own work. Yep, for sure. You can be proud of your work, but normally you'll hate it, because you can see something and you see it from the outside. I'm seeing everything from behind the scenes, everything that I did wrong, all the work up to it. So I don't see as much of a final product. I see a final product that's on top of a pile of shit. And it ends up being what I wanted. So it's all that background crap that makes that difficult. I keep forgetting I have to go through here. So what else do I have here? Oh, I think I have more. Oh, this is the books. Come on. I think this one has, it says the book Orbit, but I thought I had another Twilight. Oh yeah, this one. Okay. Alright, good luck, Cario. Could you make SFM lesson videos for us new SFM users? I do have some tutorials I put out, but most of the ones, if you're talking like basic animation learning, there's a lot of tutorials out there that cover a lot of the basics of animation. And I don't feel like it's worthwhile for me to take the time to just reiterate the work of somebody else. A lot of people put a lot of effort into those tutorials, and they have a lot of detail to them, and they are very helpful. And something that teaches you how to animate a person is really no different than anything else. So those tutorials are going to be much more helpful. I try to cover things that I don't see much or that I think I could clarify in a different way. But I do have like a dozen out there. I haven't made any for a while, and I have been meaning to make more, but I've been meaning to do a lot of things. So we'll see. Oh, here's the one that you guys are looking for. I don't know why people like this so much. It's so stupid. Up one. Wow. It's so fucking stupid. Wow. I also have the raid party. I wanted to see what happens if I added a smooth random on all locked bones. Yep, I agree. Wow. How would you recommend for someone new to SFM animation to watch? To watch, I would start with all the stuff. Just Google search or YouTube search Source FilmMaker. Watch all their basic tutorials. It seems really bland, boring, but it's useful information. Really good to watch. After watching that, I would start. Jim Merlin's is probably the next place to go in terms of learning the basics. He's going to cover a lot of the weird aspects. You might not remember exactly how to do everything, but it puts in your head that it's out there. And this isn't like school where you need to memorize everything. It's not about knowing the specific information on how to do everything. It's about knowing it exists. If you know it exists, then you can go out, and when you need it, you know that you can do it, and that you just have to go out and learn it again. And don't overburden yourself with trying to memorize everything. Just get it in your head that things exist, and then look it up when you need it. I think this one has one. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, anything like actually learning the graph editor and learning the motion editor, those are the two that are intimidating. And yeah, anything that covers those would be super useful to know. There wasn't really that much out there for motion editor, that's why I kind of made one. Jim or Lynn's. Yes. I'm actually surprised for somebody that has probably been one of the best people out there in terms of getting some of the basics and a nice organized YouTube or videos. He's only got 10,000 subs. And that bugs me because it's actually kind of creepy. It's just like, hello. But he's just got so many here, and they are all useful. And I haven't even watched near all of them. I need to do that because he's probably got things in here that I don't even know how to do yet. That I think would be super useful to know. So look at these. I mean, these are old too, 5 years, but the information is the same. What else I got here? Here's another one. What is this one? Oh, yeah. Oh, this one I think is... Oh, this is... I know this one. This is where the chicken fights back. Or not the chicken. Or I guess he's eating chicken. I can't remember where this came out. I thought I had one where he was jumping. Oh yeah. I don't remember what that one was. Dead. Oh, this one didn't have anything. Oh, this one's got stretched a little bit. This one had some more. This one had breakdancing spike. And then... not dead. I don't think I have... oh, I have one more? What's this one? Oh! It's something else. Oh, this is... I remember this one. It's okay. So we have... Vicky was going to jump, so I instead gave her knives. It's like 10 seconds of work. That's all of them. So all these ones after this were because I had to do some of the multiple renders to get things to work, or fix renders. Some of these were to fix that. This was for the credits, which I don't think the credits had anything either. You just farted. That's very nice. Thank you for letting us know. I was curious. Do you have Easter eggs in your videos? That's actually what I'm kind of going over here. This one has some Easter eggs, but they're more of just goofy stuff that happened during the stream. Probably gonna crash off RAM on this one. Is it gonna open? No, it can't open. This is gonna crash it. This has to crash it. It's gonna take a little bit to open. Did I miss any questions here? I think I covered most of what you guys had up till now. Oh, I didn't crash it. Guys, for 4 years, thank you. I've been doing animation for 5, but I think the streaming is more of an accomplishment than the animating. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I just had to touch it. I do not know French. I barely know English. No, I don't know. I took German in school. That was the most I did for foreign languages. But even then, don't ask me to repeat anything. God, this is a ginormous can. It was good though. Hold on. Oh, there it goes. And this weird thing of like with that graphics card now, when it's opening up SFM like that, it'll pop up with a pre-image of before I started streaming on the stream, so I could see other things that you can't see. It's weird. Same way your folder is called Milky Way. Was that referring to the galaxy or the Pony Sea? No, it was the making my way down the Milky Way. That video I made. All those folders are finished videos. It was the one I made with Lyra on the piano. Can you show us your wallpaper? Oh, yeah, I can do that. I pulled that up the other day. I can't remember who made it. It's just dashy. So somebody showed it and it was really neat. Before this, I had just like a sunset picture. I like having some kind of like an orange in my desktop for some reason. About those pictures frames you got in that shot, did you put they're broken in DA? For which picture frame? Oh, the picture frames. Yes. For some reason, the normals got inverted or at some point, And so if you go to install them, they're all like black, and they don't work. These ones work because that specific one, Fourth Aggie helped me out by fixing them, but I have like, that's only one of 9 total to cover, and I wasn't going to be asking them to fix them all, and they're so old at this point, I just didn't even bother. No, in terms of like background stuff, like I had originally when walking down the stairs here, I told people that only thing that matters is what's shown in a shot. Nothing else actually matters as long as what you see is correct. And so to prove that, I had like went and like put her head upside down. So that's actually how I rendered it, but it doesn't really matter because you can't actually see that. And the only part of her feet that you can actually see move are the ones that are on camera.
Was burned alive.
Otherwise, she just kind of slides. Not horrifying.
Was burned alive.
That's getting creepy sounding. It's actually fucking creepy. Okay. That sounds really creepy. To make this most efficient, I had done a large scene build, but I deleted everything that wasn't in it. I think I still have a master scene build. So I did build this as one actual large map. So this hallway was used for a trailer, but I never actually used it. Oh, don't ignore the doors; they break. Stupid. I never actually used this. Otherwise, it goes down the hall here. This is Pip's room. So this has everything in it that she needed. Then it goes down the hall here, around the corner. This is the hallway that she's seen walking down. Here is the door into this. I don't know why this is closed now. But this goes into this room, and the camera actually pans from here across to here. I just rendered that twice and then did a fade between to give the effect that it was looking actually into the room. The actual boxes are placed almost identical to how the actual game had them. If you go and look up this room in Fallout, you actually come out of a door right here into this room. And when you look in, it actually is, these boxes are just exactly placed like that. There's just no computer here. She had to type in a code, so I needed a place to actually do typing. Though, I don't know how hooves work on buttons like that, but who cares, whatever. So they had this room, and then the door opens. I had to go through and add the bones to this model and render that out. That was fun to learn how to do that because this model originally didn't have any bones on it, so I had to go do that so I could animate it.
It's time.
You don't have to do this, little Pip. Isn't it?
Blah blah blah. But then this goes out to here, which is, I don't know why this is snowy now, but whatever. To here, I wanted to show kind of just like, I don't know, death, I guess, and like that's kind of sad, little children, whatever. Then this actually had way more detail in it than I actually showed in the video. It's a full freaking cellar. And then when she goes outside the cellar, that is actually an entirely different shot, which is the technicalities behind this are actually kind of interesting. So in the final video, I'll make sure I have questions. Do you do something kind of loop for Wallpaper Engine, please? Yeah, actually I have like 3 or 4. If you search my name on Wallpaper Engine, I have a couple on there. In a hypothetical world, if ever approached you to employment offer to spearhead a series of online 3D MLP shorts, promote their franchise, would you? Probably not. Something like that sounds pretty temporary and would require that would want to be my career of choice, which means that I would be leaving my current job that I'm actually pretty comfy in and enjoy to do something that's a risk, and maybe temporary. Not worthwhile to me. No, I would turn them down instantly. So I actually like my work now. It's very I like it. I like the people I work with, and then I can keep my hobby a hobby instead of being told what to make. Right now, I tell myself what to make, and I like it that way. A question: have you ever seen SFM animation that showed Monty Python and the Holy Grail? No, but that is a good movie. One of my favorites. Take a snowstorm. Is it still snowing? I think. Oh no, it stopped. And we were in a snowstorm for a bit there. Minnesota. No, so for leaving the stable here with clothes on ponies, look up, if you want to learn how to do clothes on stuff, look up tutorials on bone merging. That's probably going to be the most useful tutorial you're going to find. Okay, so here,
The entrance to the outside.
she is in a cellar, and I need her to go outside. But to be able to utilize those two the way that I wanted to required that I couldn't actually use the same map for that. So I had to figure out if this would work, and it did. So technically, she is right now in one map for this.
Sounds legit.
And with that,
And
Little Pip threw
this
open the
part
cellar door
is an
and took her
entirely
first
different map
steps
out
into
here.
the outside world.
That was probably in this video, the most difficult technological thing that I did. So
Seller. Sounds legit.
see here.
And with that, Little Pip threw open the...
At this point, there's two separate renders on two separate maps. There's one render that's down here, and then I had one where I keyframed following a second render that was in an entirely different map that I copy pasted the door, the stairs, her, and the door frame, the door. So there was like 5 or 6 models I had to copy into a whole other save file, render it, and then hope that it worked. And it did. I wonder if I have a test. I think I have a test.
Entrance to the outside is
So I wasn't sure if this was actually going to work or not.
humble apple.
So I wanted to test it. So this was an early version of it.
And with that, Little Pip threw...
And you can kind of see the lights kind of jump right here a little bit because I didn't have it perfectly figured out.
threw open the cellar door and took her...
But it did work. So if you look at this, you can see her walk
Built
up.
It had been building an apple cell.
But when she goes to exit the cellar door, this is
with
what
that,
it actually
Little
looked like
Pip
in the
threw open
render. It looked like this.
And with that, Little Pip threw open the cellar door and took her first steps into the outside world.
And it's black. The world is black. All death. You die. So that's what it actually looked like. And so I rendered that as it was. And then I went into a separate one, copied all the models and all the positioning from the one into this one, and started out the exact same way. Started the render so that it looked like... TFH stream? What's a TFH stream? Not sure what you mean by that. So then you can see here, this is the exact same motion. The only difference is that some of the other models here, but the stairs are here.
Sounds legit.
And with that,
Then the camera
Little
comes
Pip threw
around,
open the cellar
and so I keyframed this part of the video to show.
door and took her first steps into the outside
And
world.
then I just merged them on top of each other so that every frame I just followed the door frame with it, and it actually worked. I was really surprised. But it took me, when I had the idea for it, I wanted to test it first. So I kind of made the basic walking animation stuff, did both renders, and then said, does this work? Because if it doesn't, I need to do something else. And I was actually really surprised with the result. So, no, I'm not a big Sonic fan. My sister was kind of them. Oh, of them fighting hurts. Probably not. I don't even think there's models for it. I think there might be of one. I'm not sure. And I've had a lot of cider, so hold on a second. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be back in like 1 minute. All right, that's much better. This thing's like it's like a 750, isn't it? Yeah, and I had more as a cidery earlier, so yeah. Okay, that went through me. So all right, I feel much better. Oh, a game stream? I don't even actually own that Funny Herds, but I've done some gaming streams in the past, but they were always, like, compared to like the SFM ones, pretty low key. There's only a couple people that showed up, so I've always just been kind of like, eh. It also depends on the game, because some games just aren't entertaining. But other ones, like me and a friend have been playing Divinity here and there. That was I actually wish I would have streamed that, because that has some really good moments in it. But I've considered doing more of that, but it just depends on how many people actually want to see the stuff. Normally people say they're interested, but then not many people actually show up. So I've just been kind of like, why? It's exhausting to stream. That's why I only try to stream at 3 to 4 hours at most at a go. Oh, in terms of like the technicalities for this video. So in the distance, it's not going to show here because I don't have it set up right. The Canterlot that's in the sky is technically a silhouette that I cut out on a flat texture. It's just a different texture right now that had alpha, so that you could actually like see the outlines, and is actually existing on this 3D skybox over here. So I put it in the 3D skybox, and then I just added a particle effect that had the glowing pink, so you see where it should have been, and that's actually what gave the effect of it. Here we go. Back to Pip. This one was actually pretty easy scene build. This is like the desert test map, and I just threw shit everywhere. This is one thing I love about post-apocalyptic videos, because it's not about, you don't have to make things clean and proper, you just throw crap everywhere, and it makes it so easy. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of think about like what it would look like clean and then destroying it, but in general it's actually pretty easy. Yeah, but renders actually, like, if you guys talk about renders, like, I have, and I know there's probably people that have it worse than me. I have bought a separate hard drive to hold all my renders because they were taking up some space, and I have this thing of I can't delete stuff. I hate deleting stuff because the moment you delete it is the moment you needed it. So I actually keep all my renders on a separate folder here. And size-wise, because I've been doing a lot of my stuff in 4K now, this is pretty enormous. And like, I can't remember the size here, but some of these are like you render them, and then I would put it through speed grade, though After Effects is now pretty good with it. But before, when I go through speed grade, at 1.2 terabytes, 500,000 files. When I go through speed grade, which was a color correction program that Adobe had acquired, it was really, really good, but you had to re-render it again as a separate image sequence, and then I had to go and compile it again in another software. So sometimes I'd have 2 to 3 versions of all the renders. So in a 4K one, well, that's a GIF. You're looking at, this file size is 8 megabytes per picture, but I mean, it's really good detail, but still. And those renders were 40 something a frame per frame. So one of the difficulties with trying to plan a video for a convention is if it's 2 weeks before the convention and I haven't started rendering it, I'm in a panic mode because you need time to render and edit. And so while you might be, if you're down to the last minute editing, you better have everything else rendered. Or if you're down to the last minute edit, like doing any of your animating, all the rest of it should be rendered and ready because it just takes too long. Do you ever struggle with particles being too dark because of a low tone map scale? Yeah, tone map scale is stupid. And what tone map scale is, for those that don't know, is tone map scale is essentially like adding a black or a white filter over a video. It's not very good for color control, but sometimes it's the only option. So if I put it up, I can lighten things, and if I put it down, I can darken things. But when it comes to particles, it will also darken a particle. So if you drop it to like really dark to get a nice dark scene, you're going to have your lights super bright to make up for the difference. And your particles are now going to be darkened. So if you're trying to make a bright light like that has a particle used for like a lens flare or something in the darkness, it will never be pure white because the even if you bump up the brightness as much as possible, because tone map scale just kills it. I almost always use like this was an exception because this one actually had a map that worked, but this one I used the black version of it, which had no lighting. So I always utilize a map that has 0 lighting because if I have control of it, I don't have to worry about tone map scale. Tone map scale is only really needed if you're playing with a map that's already got pre-rendered assets or pre-rendered lighting that's built into the map. Do I make a living off YouTube? No. No. If I were to do that, I would be living in a cardboard box. No. As of right now, because I've planned it a little differently, my current revenue from SFM is $100 a month. And even then, that's only because I put out a video that I was able to monetize. But it's now on its way back downwards again. On average, I normally sit at $15 to $20 a month. I don't want to restrict what I make to pick what would make me money. I want to look. If I like Remembrance, the music that was in there, I could not monetize that. But if I were to find music that I could, I would probably be using either free music that is not going to probably be what I want, or I'm going to get something custom made, but I don't even know what I want. The music is what gave me the idea. So I don't want to limit my ideas for the purpose of monetary gain. If I'm able to, wonderful. If I can't, oh well, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet. Plus YouTube, like, because of how the models work, YouTube, I think the Twidash video, I had custom audio done for it, so technically I didn't have anything to worry about with that. But I couldn't monetize it because YouTube stated that I needed to have written permission to use the models. I don't know why, but they actually just randomly said that I had to show proof. And I couldn't because the person that made the models, Nahka, had taken the models from JP Shadow Squirrel, I think it was, and they all based them on characters that were under copyright. So I technically would never get authorization. And I missed out on a lot of money for not being able to do that. But if it comes down to me not restricting my creative out or what I want to make, that's fine. So if people want to support, the best way to do it is through Patreon or something like that. I have a full-time job that pays me well. I don't have to worry about YouTube doing it. What I do instead is that the money I make off YouTube and Patreon really go back into like the software that I get. So I pay $50 a month for Adobe products. If I have to do upgrades for my computer, like one time I had to rush ship a power supply because it cut out on me during a part in time I needed it. Stuff like that. That's where that money goes to. It's not for like me to go buy video games. It's for me to just reinvest back into the product. Like I got Snippet, which is like an addicting little program for taking screen captures that have been super useful for the stuff for the animating and getting some of the preview pictures. Fixed particles being dark is easy. The overbite factor. Yeah, I haven't really puzzled with that. Is it? Yeah, the tone maps. I hate. If you don't have to touch tone map scale, don't touch tone map scale. I've only used it for slight changes to things, but if you start putzing with it too much, it's the result's going to be stupid. I've never liked playing with it. Out of curiosity, what do you do for a living? I work at a medical device company in quality. So I don't do anything with animation. That's not my job at all. So, and I'm very new at that. Before my current job, I was in trucking. I was in trucking for 13 years, working as in the office. I did for the last couple of years I was there. I was in charge of damaged freight for the from the location I was at. So very stressful work, not rewarding, paid crap, and was far away. I mean, so but my current company is profiting and doing well. So, wait, then how can you tell if the music is copyrighted on YouTube if you're going to use it? I don't. Most of the times, like, Remember Me was put on a CD. I knew it was going to be pulled for something. And it's not like I can't use it. I can still use the music. It's just that I can't monetize it. There are ones that have let me. For instance, what did I call that? Well, the videos just kind of blend together. Most recent, one of the most recent ones I've done. Okay, I'm gonna say that that was 750 was very big. Oh, it was Lyra, but I named it something different. Anyways, so the one I made with Lyra using the Final Fantasy VIII music, for some reason, actually I know the reason. So I cut up the audio to shorten it, so I'd taken pieces and shortened it down, which means that the detection engine couldn't figure that out. So technically I can monetize that one, even though it was technically a copyrighted music because I edited it. But if you use like under 30 seconds, like for some reason, I have no idea why. This video, the Rocky one, I was using the Rocky stuff for this one, and it let me monetize it, even though it was like 30 seconds of the song. So, and that wasn't even, that was for Anthology too. So it's you just don't know. But I don't want YouTube to be a job. It's not a way to make a living. If you want to make a living on YouTube, you have to put content out like every day, and you have to like make it your life. When I get home from work, if I'm not streaming, I'm usually like chatting with friends or playing games or something. Like it's not my life, and I don't want to make it mine. So I'd rather do it when I enjoy it and when I can put my heart into it and not have to do it because I have to make a living. Then it's not fun anymore. So, yeah. If you're an animator with Gary's Mod, I salute you, because SFM's great for animating. Gary's Mod isn't, but you have a physics engine, so I guess. But it has a style to it that actually can be quite cool. So I did Gary's Mod. I have like 300 something hours in Gary's Mod. I definitely have putzed in there plenty. What kind of music are you into? Actually, if you want to know the music I'm into, I have a playlist that's actually public on my channel that's called 2 Steps from Awesome. I've been adding to it constantly. There's 230 videos on it. Wow, it's got 90,000 views on it. Whenever I do a stream, I'm usually listening to this playlist, and it's just instrumental. A lot of 2 Steps from Hell type music, like epic orchestral, and I just find that to be like the best music to work to. If I'm not listening to that for like streams or like when I'm working, I tend to listen to like metalcore. I do listen to some like chill step a little bit more. I'm not so much into like dubstep, but like one of my favorite songs lately has been where is that? Night Call featuring Dream Hour, the Dead 5 vocal version. That one's really good. Less Friction I've been listening to quite a bit. This is, I kind of put some songs on a playlist that I like listening to and repeat. So that's what this is. But yeah, if you want to go through the playlist, this is literally all the music I love listening to. And this is a long list because I've been adding to it for years. So, what's it got here? Hello, Morbid. How are you? I actually have some Transformer soundtrack stuff on here. They have some pretty good ones. Yeah, you're fighting against the physics, but at least you have physics. SFM, I think I still have the button for it. Yeah, I still have the old SFM Fizz simulations. It doesn't work on the current version anymore, but it used to be where you could add physics. That's what I ended up using for. I had a Derpy Day video. Yeah, this one. Is like a deleted scene thing I never finished, and just left with it. All those were added via physics, and when I enabled the physics, they exploded. So that's why I did that. But it was nice having the ability to have physics, even though it was rough and complicated and not always working the way you wanted to. It's nice having the option. Trying to think what else I got here. What's my others folder again? Ooh, Evil Spike. I think this is the really, really creepy thing. So I had attached Spike to a fast zombie model from Half-Life. The results were quite entertaining. What else have I got here? Gilda Play. I can't remember where that one is. Dash Macarena. Oh, I remember that one. That's nothing. T-shirt. We made a dolphin T-shirt with a 3D model. Oh, these ones I can't show because those are. If you want to see my bad fanfic pictures, you have to go to the bad fanfic panels when we run them. It's the only time I'm ever going to show them. Unbroken audio test. Borderlands is stupid. Daybreaker's stupid. Yeah, most of these are just. I'm not even going to bother opening them because they're just really, really stupid, simple stuff. Yeah, this is Sam Jack. Oh, I was originally I was testing lighting to see if I could get it to be a Samurai Jack style, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it, so I just kind of didn't care. So if you're going to be make any more Hellsing Abridged, I originally, if you actually look in my canceled bit, I have one called Alishai 3. I did originally start one, but other projects got in the way, and I never actually got into it. But that said, there are a couple people that have made some. One being Quillimanar, Quillomanar. He actually made one, and I always want to pull this up because he did a version of one. I don't know if I have it on this computer though. I don't think I do. I think it's on my laptop or on a flash drive. But he had done an edit of it because we couldn't show blood or swearing. So anytime there was blood, he had sparkles, and anytime and yay kids noises, and anytime there was swearing, it was good. It was so funny. It was hilarious. Why did you decide to call yourself Argo Naaman? I've had the name for like a long time, over 10 years. When I joined the fandom, I decided not to change it because I didn't want to remake all my accounts. I'm lazy. But the name comes from Oblivion. At the time when I was trying to come up with a name, I didn't want to have numbers. I wanted something unique, and so something that wasn't going to be taken by other people. And so when I was playing Oblivion, I was playing as the Argonians, and I took the Argo apart because it was something that could be used in shorthand, and then I just added Damon at the end, and I checked and nobody had it anywhere, so easy. I didn't want to have a bunch of obligatory numbers, which is actually one of the names of my friends that uses for his account stuff is obligatory numbers. So I wanted to just have a name that I could be a single bit with a shorthand version. So that's why I went with it. I think about things way too much. Tempest Angry. Oh yeah, I was really testing the Tempest model to see how it would look in animating. Just never really done anything with it. I don't plan on doing anything from the movie because I feel like the show is easy to one up in terms of animation. The movie is hard. It did well on its own, but yeah. Oh no, this one actually I think is not audio bit. No, I think it's this one. Hello? Come in. It's all locked.
You're doing a lot when you're streaming?
Because I thought you'd probably be popping up.
Oh, okay. That's good, yeah. No one would mess with you. As soon as they saw the pictures on your walls, they'd immediately leave.
No, I covered the dockies though.
They wouldn't rob you.
That's
Yeah.
the princess.
The docky would be
Oh, I didn't actually go into detail with that. Oh.
From getting my horn back. Prepare my ship.
Oh yeah, I just kind of did that like cheap ass, so didn't actually go into much stuff that I thought I actually
Have you
wanted
drinking the cider? I brought you more free candy. There you go.
that. Free candy.
More free candy.
Ooh, there's a new one. Is that a new one?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just they changed up the bottle.
Ooh, I'm grabbing one. It's Kyle. Kyle is here. There was one other thing. Yeah, this one. Hopefully this doesn't get pulled for copyright on this, because this is very much... I was originally going to do this, then I thought about it. I'm like, this is not going to be staying on YouTube, because it's going to get cut off. Hey, maybe enough time video.
So they were just fucking around.
Yeah, right now. So, like, I had originally started this one. Never really got any further. I was pretty sure that it wouldn't work. How fast do you think that would be pulled for copyright?
Well, immediately. But somebody
It would probably let me upload it, but it might just
somebody
actually...
would see it.
That one person.
Yeah.
It would be worth it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But I really didn't put much time into this. All I had is the beginning. Is there anything else I got here? That one I can't open. Those ones are finished stuff. Alright, well. You popped up like 10 minutes before the end of the stream.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that stage built or a model? That's actually built. I originally built it for That's a flash, so it's going to be easier to just pull it up on DeviantArt. I made it for this. Just for fun.
Get that one.
Glitz and Ham.
The retina's
Giz and his amazing naming of things.
Yeah.
But it's actually a load. So I the ground is just like some tech models that I just used the backup to get a black service.
Starship plating.
The rainbows were, I believe, just a model that was curved, and then I added the rainbow texture to it. Apple's just scaled up models. There's just some random metal pipes in there. These stairs, I don't even know how those would physically work, but we're just going to go with yes. These background models are, again, I just recreated those in like Photoshop with my absolutely amazingly good star making skills and cloud make. Look at that. That is professional work. I thought the spotlights worked better as airs, so I don't know what happened with those. And then beyond that, it was just lighting. So, and then the spinning light is just a gobo textured light with a bunch of spots on it. Thought of streaming SFM and YouTube versus Twitch. Normal streaming, I'll always do Twitch. This I was just doing because it was a kind of a special thing and was easier to distribute. I just normally don't want to post on YouTube because I don't want people getting spoilers of videos by accident that they potentially didn't want to have. You playing Uncharted Lost Legacy? No. Nope, I had no idea. So yeah, but I was going to say, so towards the end, I was going to allow people that, because we're going to be just ending in a couple minutes here, and you guys have been awesome, because this has been like constant questions. So, but I did want to give...
She's drunk.
Oh, that makes more sense, I guess. I did, so I don't want to spoil stuff for people that they don't want to be spoiled. So if people want to stick around to see stuff that is unfinished, which I think I only have one thing right now.
Spoilers.
I can do that, but I just want to make sure that if people don't want to see stuff, and it's not like I have a finished version of anything, it's still a long ways from finished, long ways. Yeah, I stream on Twitch. I have the schedule down below. I can do that because
he has for 4 years.
Yeah, but this is for it's right there. But yeah, I stream on Twitch at 6 o'clock Tuesday and Friday, which is an hour from before now on a normal night, for about 3 hours. And the purpose of it is I work on my stuff, but it's more of if people have questions or want to see me work on stuff, that's where a place to do it. I try to explain as I do things. And some people have given insight. If I make a picture, we always have everybody name the pictures. That's why, like here, this showed Giz named it. Probably my favorite naming of any picture was, I think, by Volskart, when he named this one. With Scootlegger.
I love Scootlegger. Scootlegger's the best.
Yeah, he named it.
Yeah.
So, and it's great because if I were to come up with names for stuff, it would have been fucking stupid. But when you get other people doing it, it's amazing what a bunch of minds can put together for an amazing name. Remembrance, actually the name of Remembrance came from somebody on a stream. I think I still have this. Oh. Yeah, so here was the name we originally had for it. So, titles, we had Eternity, Echoes of the Past, Rebirth, I'll Be There, Remembrance, Bonds, Harmony. These are the ones we voted off. Once Forgotten, Magic of... Oh my god, there's...
The Magic of Friendship, Grace Lives On. Yeah.
Well, it was more of... It was Magic of Friendship, Friendship, Grace, Friendship Lives On, Friendship, fuck yeah. Because this is a mix. Remembering You, all these, and eventually I just went with Remembrance. But it was other people that helped me with that, which is... So I appreciate people helping out with titles because I'm horrible with them. But yeah, it's twice a week, and they're not always like super entertaining. A lot of times they're just work stuff, but if people have questions, it's a great place to do it. Sometimes we just do really stupid stuff or make a picture so you can see it from beginning to end. It's kind of up to you. So, but anyways, so what feature you used to get the blue errors? Oh, the blue errors are if a model didn't load, and
that's not a feature.
Yes, it's a nice feature.
It's a great feature.
Is Lightbringer Fallout thing going anywhere? All the Fallout stuff I've shown here is out there somewhere. But anyway, so I did want to load up here. So this is again, if you don't want to see spoilers for stuff, don't be here, I guess. And if you're leaving, bye. Otherwise, if you want to stick around to see it, it's probably just going to be a short little bit. Because as of right now, for stuff that's in the works that I can actually show, because I have some that I actually literally can't, it's only going to be the one. So just as a heads up.
Spoilers.
Can you change the color of the air? Probably. But why would you want to?
For effect.
It is very funny, flashy. So the main thing I've been working on right now, and it has been on the streams every Tuesday, Friday. So if you ever want to see me working on this, you can come by on those on Twitch. Okay, see you later, Hero Strand. Thanks for coming by. I've been working on a video for the based on the Ministry Mares from Fallout, because I feel that they are a super interesting part of the story, but if you were to look at all the Fallout content people have made, very rarely do they cover them, and they are some of my favorite parts. So I wanted to make something based on that. Well, I stream at night because I get off work at like 4, and so I start streaming at 6, so I really don't have a choice. I stream when I have available. So yeah, so I've been working on this. A lot of what I've been doing right now has been scene builds, because there are some really complex scene builds.
Spoil me, Argo.
You spoiled me. You brought cider.
I know I got more beer. Or not beer, but more alcohol.
Close enough. So yeah, a lot of this has been scene builds. Actually, now that I think about it, when this first one loads, there's going to be like guard towers and stuff because we were bored. Oh, okay. Oh, so you're waiting around just for this. Well, I appreciate that. All right, thanks for coming, buddy. That sounds weird to say.
I like the black screen loading. It just says needs ponies.
Okay, so I've been trying to recreate some. That's why when I have the book here, I have just a whole bunch of markings, because like if you just load up here, it says Rainbow Rarity, SPP Conversation, Rarity Fluttershy Crying at Spa, Rarity Applejack Rainbow with the grenade goes off. These are marked so that I can have references to the actual points. So like here, if you get rid of the drawbridge, was various testing that we're still working on. But like, so this is the Fluttershy speech. I'll get rid of the music for now. I haven't animated any of it yet. I'm just working on scene builds. And so this is her having a speech at the podium. I'm going to fill this up with a lot more ponies, but that's super laggy, so I don't want to have them in right now. We actually went through and like added the
nice
little symbol there, and it's actually bump mapped, so whatever.
Nice.
But having her there, they have full outfits, and all these chairs. This was again a scene build with all the chairs. Mathing these out was an ass, because it wasn't. I had to keep making them spread out further to oh god, I don't want to do that again.
That does look awful.
So this is one. It's gonna have the camera here, and then there's also gonna be a up close one. TF2 versus Overwatch? No. I like doing the pony thing. Once that gets boring, maybe I'll go into something else, but I'm enjoying the one I got right now. Hero Strain left because he doesn't want spoilers, which is totally fine. I don't like spoilers myself, but some people love them. So, so I have this shot. The next one I was working on was Apple Snack when he murdered that dude. So I built a full, like Manhattan looking thing at night with it raining. He doesn't have a hood on, but if you put on a hood, he wouldn't be recognizable. So instead I had it like his hood was down. So. They never mentioned a cutie mark, so I just gave him apples.
There you go. that is probably what his butt mark looks like, to be perfectly honest. Apple Snacks, it's probably just slices of an apple.
So yeah, so I've been...
or like a little fruit packet.
So that scene was pretty good. I like that one. But I want to detail, like they said, you can see Red Rocket, which is always weird to want to say, in the background. So, and I still got to animate the clouds and animate him, but again, it's just... oh yeah, it actually is going to crash. The other one was Maripony. This is my interpretation of it, which is again. Let me expand this a bit. I put the sisters.
Oh, goodbye. Dun, 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 dun. She speaks with her mind.
So, but these ones again, it's a scene build. I just built it from muscles. And this is gonna have this shot and then kind of that up close bit.
It's fixed.
It's fixed. Okay. So that was, but analyze. I'm trying to go into the detail that I can for it, but sometimes there's just not the information to go off of. So I'm just kind of making what I can for it. This was one of the more iconic ones. Rarity's death scene. Working on that one.
Oh, I see how you did the mysteries.
Huh?
So I see how you did it. I got it.
But I have to figure out how to make reflections on the wall. I have an idea. I know how to. It's just going to take me a bit. So that one is interesting. And this is about as close as I could to a representation as I could. Do you plan to animate something for Project Horizons? No. I don't want to stick with just Fallout. There's plenty of other stuff to animate and that I have ideas for. So Fallout's nice to play around in, but I don't want to make it my only thing. I'm surprised I still haven't crashed. This next one will probably do it. So for the next one is I have a scene that I needed Applejack's factory, like inside the Ministry of Wartime Technology, and so that's what this is. I was working on.
She's got a little top hat.
It's not a top hat. It's her hat.
It's a little top hat.
But the rendering is a little bit poor because of the stuff. But I put a lot of time. We actually just this week had been working, or Tuesday and last week had worked on doing these arms.
Nice. This is the aperture robot.
And like having these ones do their thing too.
That's really good.
It's actually super easy to do those.
Is it just a repeated?
It's repeated based on when they're going by, but
okay.
But it was actually really easy to animate. I thought it was going to be more difficult. But like this one is the one we did just Tuesday.
Nice.
So, and this was actually to a beat. So like,
why is the factory so dark?
I wanted it to be darker because I wanted her to be the focus. So everybody in the back is going to be silhouettes. There's going to be a light in the background.
You're going to get an OSHA
It's
complaint.
not done.
You're going to get an OSHA complaint. OSHA will not be happy.
OSHA is probably her friend.
Probably yes.
It'd be like Pinky. No.
Pinky is Pinky being a. That'd be horrifying. Actually.
But I'm using a song from for Axioma Music called "Final Way," and for this, and so like for this part, I needed a bit with the beat. I have to fix the positioning of that, but it's getting there. It's very early. I don't have a lot of the stuff planned out yet. I've just been doing scene builds, but I've been figuring out the ones that I know I want. Kind of like when I showed the script for Remembrance. Some shots are in super detail, other ones are very vague. I'm kind of doing that right now, where I'm going to want to do the ones that I know for sure I want to do, and then the ones that are vague, I'm just going to kind of figure out as I go. Well, thank you. Yeah, first time I live stream. I bet you a lot of people are, so that's fine. But I do run these twice a week. Gasalt and Mosaic, that was their names.
Yeah.
He might have made a vector of them. But again, there's not much detail as to what their hair looks like or anything, so I just did what their colors were. Where one said it was light color with a dark mane, and the other one was dark color with a light mane. So I just did that. It's all interpretation. Brother and sister, I don't know. I don't remember those things. Maybe they are brother and sister. Sure. So I'm just.
They were twins. And
I thought they were twins. I thought they were sisters. So. But it was the same thing. Like we just had somebody with the revelation that Midnight Showers. Was a dude.
It was a dude.
And
what the fuck?
And we thought it was a chick the entire time. Everybody there, and then he mentioned it, and I'm like, no. And I looked it up. I'm like, holy shit, it's an actual
just
dude.
a fucking dude.
So
you're projecting.
Sometimes it's like I've made a lot of mistakes in my interpretations. That's why I marked a lot of these. But for those two, it was kind of the last minute during stream that we added them. Thank you. How do you make the lens flare move, but out to keep duplicating? I had to modify the lens flare in this. There is a way to do it, but I just because I wanted it to flash really quick and like multiple flashes, I just increased its spawn rate by like 10 times in decreased its lifetime by 1/10. So I made it so that it lasted a lot shorter time, but it spammed it way faster. So that's what ended up giving the effect for it. So, and then the Sparks model or particle was a Dota one that we just modified and recolored and repositioned to make it how we needed
I
it.
was about to ask if that was a Dota. Because all the particle effects are from Dota.
It was just
all of them.
It was just a normal sparkle shooting out, but it was huge. We had to scale it down to a little bit, make it come out this way.
Yeah.
So, but it's actually really easy to do this positioning thing. A lot easier than I thought to do the mechanical arms. It was actually really neat. I enjoyed doing the arms a lot.
It looks really fucking good.
So yeah. Anyways, if you remember me from BronyCon last year, Troop Chase. I think you brought up something before. The name looks familiar. Yeah, it's nice to meet you too. Yeah, I love meeting people at the conventions. If you're going to be at BronyCon again this year, I'm going to be there. They animated some fireworks for the 4th anniversary. Yes, let's spend another hour doing that. Again, no, that would take a long time. There actually is some fireworks pre-built, but I don't have them. There's a green, yeah, and they're inverted colors of green, shades of green. What's the thing that in SFM that forced you to improvise or walk around it? I improvise all the time. Don't think that's like a unique thing. There's lots of stuff that you have to improvise in or find workarounds for.
SFM is like the least comprehensive 3D animation tool ever.
For
you
instance,
can do whatever you want in it.
It's simple.
It's simple.
Yeah. But like for instance, like I didn't want to make a custom model for this, so I just found like a placard and retextured it, and then added my own bump maps. And in doing so, then that made it look like it had its own depth. I didn't need anything detailed because I'm not going to be up close. This was a podium, but it is, I think, going a bit underground. And it had some other little symbols there, and I just retextured over them. Trying to think of like what other ones in this video at least I had to do workarounds for. I'm always doing them. I just forget when I do them now. I know for like this one, I need to do a reflection on the window. And so I'm going to actually do a separate render that I have in a map that I'm going to have to custom build that has a reflective surface. Move everything into that reflective surface, render it with the reflective surface, and then overlay them on top of each other. So that one's going to be fun. But it's a workaround that works, even though because I have a nice flat surface with a consistent camera movement. I'm not really even happy with some of the background of the shot, but I have work to do on it still.
Isn't the door on the right? Or the door is here and the window's here. Like you come in, you go to the left, but the door.
I don't think they said in detail.
They didn't say that in detail? That might just be my own.
This is my meta.
This is your meta, it's true.
No, I wanted this. Well, originally the doors weren't going to be there, but the doors help give an extra feeling of oomph. So, or like even lighting these doors, like I had to, this wasn't like a normal lighting thing. To get the lighting to work on here, there's a lot of lighting. I have 5 lights just to light the doors because I had to light them specifically. So if I take off the door lights, I'm left with just darkness. So I had to have, so at first I have an ambient light that I think pops up more when the doors are open or closed, or maybe not at all. I can't remember anymore. But otherwise I have like a spread light, so these are going to be the ones that cover the whole door. And then I needed to show the direction of light that it was hitting it, so I have these main ones that just give the brighter edge lighting. So SFM's not going to do the best for realistic lighting, but if you add a couple extra lights to simulate it, usually you can get something pretty close. I know you're busy, but it's okay. Can you show how that lens flare that you did, or the stream that you can go back and watch? Actually, literally the last stream. So I have a secondary channel on YouTube called Arcane Live Streams, and anything I stream on Twitch I upload to here, so you can actually see here. So this is the one from 20th, so this will be Tuesday, and if you go through here you can see, I think that was the lift arm, but but I actually go through here. This is the sparkles. So if you actually watch this one for 220, it actually will cover, at least you can see how I did it. And that'll do it. So it gets you what you need. Yes, I said here. So you can only have 8 lights casting shadows. Yeah, but you can only have 8 lights casting shadows. But if you really mess with stuff, like there's certain lights that you could use a gobo to simulate shadows, or that you can use cut off and cut on to restrict its distance. Or I've had it where I've shined lights that just hit the front of somebody's face. It's more efficient to have dozens of lights than to use one shadowed almost. So I will try to find workarounds to have any of my lights be not shadowed at any point as much as I can.
How many volumetric lights are you allowed?
Volumetric
7?
as many as you want. It's
Or
shadowed lights.
Or 7, or
so like if I go and load here light, I'm already at my shadow limit. So as soon as I load a light, it says
8.
too many.
Yeah.
So and then that won't work. So, but it's just an engine restriction. What do you do? It's actually, I almost find SFM more fun because of some of the restrictions, because I like troubleshooting and I like finding ways around problems and weird, awkward solutions, and that actually makes that kind of fun. So that was an updating a lot of stuff, but I think they will eventually, and if they don't, oh well, because I've still been having an entertainment in it. If they start adding updates, it just breaks stuff. That whole psychic course video I showed earlier was broken for like 6 months because they didn't update that completely changed the way that they did some of that stuff, and it broke it. And it took them months to fix it, and I ended up canceling the video because I didn't want to rebuild the whole scene build. So things like that happen too.
Beer, what?
Mm-hmm.
Beer, don't cut me.
Don't cut me. But anyways, so but yeah, so it's after 7, so I was gonna be cutting it just in a minute here. So but there's actually a lot more people that showed up here than I thought.
About 100 when I was starting to watch.
So yeah, so that's actually really cool, and you guys have had to ask a crap load of questions. That's actually been really fun. I was actually thinking I would be having trouble trying to find content to keep you entertained, but you just kept killing. So that's awesome. So I do appreciate everybody for coming. The people that come to the stream. If you want to come to the streams at all, the ones that are normally run twice a week on my Twitch, there's just my name.
So many videos.
My name, and you just come here, and it's got stuff. And I try to put up a schedule here, but I'm super lazy about it, and sometimes don't update it until like 10 minutes before the stream. The other thing is, if you don't want to worry about that, on Steam, there's this group called Our Name is Fantastic Film Viewers. It's an open group, and when there is a stream going on, you can go here and it will pop up with a message on your thing saying that the stream is starting. So you can see I have all the different streams here, and sometimes that isn't scheduled until like 10 minutes before the stream either, but at least it'll pop up with a notification. And anybody can join this, so don't worry about needing to be invited. It's completely open to anybody. And actually, if you want, I can give I'll put the URL here. Does that work? Is this organic? Okay, whatever. I think I named that. So yeah, just go in and grab jump into it. That's fine. No problem with me. So there is like discussions and stuff, but none of them are really used. Last one was February 2017. So the main point of it is that you will be notified when I
need to go
streaming.
necro some posts, so grab back.
Well, yeah, some of the ones from 2015.
Yeah. Gotta go necro some threads.
So yeah, ow. So yeah, just jump if you want to jump on there. That's fine. So I know I'm lazy, and having something pop up and tell me that I'm streaming is the best way to do it. But yeah, again, thank you. Thanks for all the thanks. Thanks. Okay. All right. So thanks for coming by.
Remember to like, subscribe, and look at my beach.
Oh, this book that I had. This was an official. This is the second printing. They did a third. I just like reading this one because the pages are easier to work with.
It's like a Bible.
Yeah. So, but they don't do those anymore. If you want to buy them, they're expensive. So, okay. So thank you, everybody. Keep being awesome. Go make stuff.
Are we gonna play video games?
We're gonna play video games,
We're
but
gonna play video games.
we're gonna play video games.
Yay! Let's play video games.
We're gonna play video games outside stream.
I delivered the booze, so that's all I needed to do.
You're gonna leave it here?
Yes, it's your booze. I drank like 2 of your ciders the other day when we were over here watching Full Metal movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, he drank my booze, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you.